Chapter 674. Because of her pregnancy, Su Yiyen's temper has been quite fiery recently. She wants to beat someone up at any moment. In order to not act out domestic violence in public, Su Yiyen can only take a deep breath and say, "I'm a little thirsty." Hu Qinhuan instantly understood, "I'll go get you some juice. You sit here and don't run around." Okay. After Hu Qinhuan left, Su Yiyen had nothing to do. Just as she was hesitating whether or not to go find Qin Shueru and the others, a familiar figure appeared in front of her. Yen Yen, Su Yiyen looked at the man who had appeared in front of her. Her eyes narrowed and her face turned ugly. Cheng. Fenglang. When the man heard how she called him, he was stunned for a moment. He smiled bitterly. "Didn't you call me brother Fenglang before? Why are you suddenly so distant? Or are you not going to recognize me as your brother after getting married?" Su Yiyen's face darkened and a trace of disgust flashed through the depths of her eyes. Qing Fenglang in front of her was a distant relative of the Qing family. In her previous life, she had a good impression of this brother who was about the same age as her. Therefore, she did not see the ugly face under this handsome and refined face. Even when the Qing family declined, Su Yiyen did not suspect him. Until after her death, he followed by Hu Qinhuan's side. That was when she saw this distant cousin of hers again after so many years. The handsome and refined face of the past had long faded away, leaving only distortion and madness. It was also at that time that Su Yiyen knew that this man had such thoughts about her. I'm not wrong, I just want her. I love her so much, I like her so much. We are not related by blood. Why can't I marry her?" In response, Hu Qinhuan threw a pile of information in front of him. At that time, Su Yiyen, who was already in a spirit state, floated to the pile of information and glanced at it. She only felt a chill all over her body. Ming Ming had long lost his body, but he still could not stop his limbs from turning cold. Qing Fenglang didn't really interfere with the decline of the Qing family. The one who really repaid kindness with enmity was Qing Fenglang's biological mother. But if Qing Fenglang didn't know anything about it, Su Yiyen would never believe it. Apart from this, Qing Fenglang was also involved in the suppression of the Su family by all the major corporations. It was all for the sake of getting her. You have no idea how much I love her. When I first saw her, she was only 6 years old. She was wearing a pink dress and had 2 braids. She was holding the old man's hand obediently. She was like a fairy who had strayed into someone else's house. She was so cute and beautiful. At that time, I was thinking that if I could get her one day. Qing Fenglang's eyes were filled with stubbornness and madness. I tried my best to control myself for fear of scaring her. It was not easy to wait until she grew up. I was eager to marry her. I wanted to hold her in the palm of my hand and love her for the rest of my life. I plucked up my courage and asked my mother to sound out the old man. What was the result? Qing Fenglang's eyes were red. He was like a mad dog that had long lost control. The old man was vague and kept saying that it was not suitable. She only treated me as an older brother. Later, he even began to deliberately not let me see her. I knew that he looked down on me and my family. He felt that I was not worthy of her. If they looked down on me, then they could all go to hell. That way, she would have no one to rely on and I would spare her. Ha ha ha. Chapter 675. That was the first time in Su Yiyen's life that she felt cold to the bone. Just because her grandfather didn't want her to marry him and stopped him from meeting her, he couldn't wait to kill everyone. He had never considered that those were human lives, and that these human lives were related to him. They were also her family. He was obviously an executioner, but he tried to appear in front of her as a savior when she had no one to rely on. He wanted her to be grateful to him and rely on him. Was it really love that he hurt her and her relatives in the name of love? Maybe her grandfather didn't misjudge him from the beginning. He was a madman. You really don't deserve her. Hua Chenhuan sat in the wheelchair and coldly stared at the man who kept saying that he loved Su Yiyan. You don't deserve her, and your family doesn't deserve her. What you should think about is how to change yourself, try to get her relatives' approval, and try to make yourself worthy of her. Instead of breaking her wings and pulling her down from her lofty position into your disgusting, stinking gutter. Hua Chenhuan looked into Cheng Fenglang's eyes and concluded in a cold tone, you don't deserve to love her. Su Yiyan had been with Hua Chenhuan for a long time, but it was the first time that she heard him say so many words at once. Her heart couldn't help trembling. Cheng Fenglang was completely crazy because of Hua Chenhuan's words. He was standing, and Hua Chenhuan was sitting, but at that moment, Hua Chenhuan was like a peak that he could never surpass, and he was just an ant that could be easily trampled to death at his feet at any time. Cheng Fenglang bared his fangs and brandished his claws and wanted to rush over, but he was restrained by several bodyguards in black and couldn't move. In anger, he could only keep cursing. He cursed Hua Chenhuan for having dirty thoughts about Su Yiyan. He cursed him for being a disabled toad who wanted to eat goose meat. What was the difference between him and him? He didn't deserve to criticize him at all. That was also the first time that Su Yiyan really felt sorry for Hua Chenhuan's legs. Just as Hua Chenhuan had said, he had tried his best to make himself outstanding and worthy of her. However, because of his legs, he had failed at the starting point and caused them to miss out on a lifetime together. How could she not be moved by such a person? Once the seed of love was planted, it would grow into a ginseng tree sooner or later. After being reborn, Su Yiyan thought that she would never see this person again, but she didn't expect. Su Yiyan lowered her eyes to hide the coldness in them. She said coldly, when I was young, I called him brother. When I grew up, I naturally couldn't continue to call him brother. Moreover, my husband is quite jealous, and it's not easy to coax him. I don't want him to misunderstand. Cheng Fenglang obviously didn't expect her to be like this. The gentle smile on his face stiffened, and he said with disappointment, it seems that Yan Yan and your husband have a good relationship. Did he come over with you today? Yes, he brought me some food. Calculating the time, he should be back soon. So, can I trouble you to go back to where you came from? Don't stay here and disturb our two-person world. However, Su Yiyan still underestimated a certain shameless person. When Cheng Fenglang heard this, he didn't leave tactfully. Instead, he naturally sat opposite Su Yiyan and said with a smile, when you got married, I happened to have something to do, so I couldn't be there in person to congratulate you. Since I'm here today, I'll meet this brother-in-law whom I've never met. Chapter 676. Su Yiyan's face darkened. She really wanted to tell him to get lost, but there were so many people at the banquet. It was not good to openly clash with Cheng Fenglang at this time and ruin the banquet that her uncle and aunt had carefully prepared for so long. She could only secretly call for the guy who went to get the juice to come back early to help her out. However, to Su Yiyan's surprise, Hua Chenhuan left for almost half an hour before returning. When Hua Chenhuan came back with a glass of freshly squeezed juice, her face was ugly. After seeing a strange man sitting next to Su Yiyan, her face became even uglier. Yan Yan, your juice is ready. Su Yiyan had already been impatient to deal with someone. When she heard Hua Chenhuan's voice, her eyes lit up, as if she had seen her savior. She unconsciously complained like a spoiled child, why did you come back so late? There were no ingredients in the kitchen, so I sent someone out to buy ingredients. Hua Chenhuan explained in a good-tempered manner, and then looked at Cheng Fenglang. This is... Cheng Fenglang looked at Su Yiyan's undisguised dependence on the person in front of him, and his eyes suddenly deepened. He smiled faintly and said, I am Yan Yan's cousin. You must be Yan Yan's new husband. Hello, I am Cheng Fenglang. Cheng Fenglang took the initiative to reach out his hand to Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan glanced at the hand in front of her. Her eyes flashed, and she reached out to shake his hand. The two shook hands for less than 2 seconds, but Su Yiyan on the side smelled the smoke of gunpowder. Su Yiyan frowned and took the initiative to get up and hold Hua Chenhuan's arm. She smiled and said, Why did you only take one glass? Don't you want to drink? Hua Qinhuan took advantage of the opportunity to help Su Yiyan to sit down, and the expression on her face softened a little. There are not many ingredients, only enough for one glass. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up, and he said without thinking, then let's drink together. Normally, no matter how greedy Hua Qinhuan was, he wouldn't fight with his wife for food. But when she saw the man sitting opposite her, she changed her mind. Okay. Su Yiyan and Qing Fenglang were so close to each other that Qing Fenglang's face turned deathly pale for a moment. However, he quickly smiled and said, the relationship between the two of you is really good. It's not like what the rumors say at all. Rumors? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and interrupted him. What are the rumors about us? Qing Fenglang choked and did not answer directly. Instead, he asked tactfully, I heard that you two got married in a flash. Su Yiyan knew what he was hinting at. Her eyes turned cold. Just as she was about to explain, Hua Qinhuan reached over and held her hand tightly under the table, interlocking their fingers. It was a flash marriage. We fell in love with each other at first sight. That's really romantic. Su Yiyan snorted coldly in her heart and secretly scolded hypocrisy. However, her mouth was incomparably sweet. I also think that some people are like this. They only need to look at each other to know that the other party is the most perfect choice in their life. On the contrary, some people were destined to be unable to get together even if they had been around for decades. Qing Fenglang's eyes lit up when he heard her words. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Su Yiyan again. Of course, feelings are two-way. A forced melon is not sweet. I like him, and he happens to like me. It saves a lot of trouble. Otherwise, we can't get married in a flash even if we wanted to. Chapter 677. Although Su Yiyan was emphasizing that the two of them were in love with each other, if one thought about it carefully, she might be hinting at Qing Fenglang. Flash marriage was not a derogatory term for them. On the contrary, the reason why they had a flash marriage was precisely because they had feelings for each other. Otherwise, if one of them was willing and the other was not, no matter how much they entangled, they would not be able to get married, just like him and her. Qing Fenglang was not a fool. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, he was stunned for a moment. He looked at Su Yiyan with more surprise in his eyes. He intuitively felt that the person in front of him might know something. But how did she know? Could it be? For a moment, Qing Fenglang's mind was full of twists and turns, and the smile on his face was a little more forced. Yan's words make sense. When Su Yiyan heard this intimate address again, she frowned slightly and took a sip of the juice brought by Hua Qinhuan. Honey, this juice is very sweet. Have a taste. Su Yiyan handed the juice in her hand to Hua Qinhuan very naturally. Hua Qinhuan was shocked by Su Yiyan's call of honey. After being stunned, she quickly reacted and lowered her head to drink from Su Yiyan's hand. It's very sweet. I like the taste. Hua Qinhuan instantly understood. Okay, I'll ask someone to buy it later. Su Yiyan giggled sheepishly. Am I pushing my luck and becoming arrogant because of my child? Hua Qinhuan laughed. No, it's just some fruits. Even if you don't have a baby in your belly, as long as you want to eat it, I'll get it for you. Su Yiyan's eyes curved slightly. She was satisfied. Qing Fenglang was already upset because of their undisguised intimacy. When he heard the second half, he was even more surprised. Baby? Yes, I'm pregnant. Qing Fenglang looked at the undisguised sweetness and joy on Su Yiyan's face and thought about the fact that she was pregnant with another man's child. The veins on the back of his hands, which were hanging under the table, bulged, announcing that he was not calm. After a short silence, Qing Fenglang said with some difficulty, Congratulations. Thank you. After experiencing a few blows, even someone as patient as Qing Fenglang couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and said, I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. If there's a chance, let's get together again. Su Yiyan glanced at him and thought, next time? There will be no next time. However, he replied politely and distantly, okay. As soon as Qing Fenglang left, the smile on Su Yiyan's face immediately disappeared. She quietly finished the fruit juice that Hu Chenhuan brought back. She hugged Hu Chenhuan's arm and said tiredly, I'm a little tired. Let's go back first. Hu Chenhuan looked at her expression and instinctively knew that something had happened. She nodded and brought her to find Qin Shueru and the others, informing them that they had to leave first. Qin Shueru and the others knew that it was hard for Su Yiyan to be pregnant. They were also worried that she would be tired. Without asking much, they asked Hu Chenhuan to take her home to rest quickly. As soon as they got in the car, Su Yiyan hugged Hu Chenhuan's waist and buried her whole face in his arms. Her eyebrows were full of intimacy and dependence. Hu Chenhuan's heart softened. He reached out and touched her head. Then he pulled her into his arms so that she could lean on him more comfortably. They hugged each other like this for a while, and no one said anything. Just when Su Yiyan's eyelids were fighting to stay open and she was about to fall asleep, Hu Chenhuan asked hesitantly, that man just now. Is he really your cousin? Why haven't I heard that you have a cousin? Didn't your grandfather only give birth to your mother and your uncle? Chapter 678. Su Yiyan was about to fall asleep, but when she heard what he said, she forced her eyelids open and looked at Hu Chenhuan with a slightly confused expression. When Hu Chenhuan saw this, he thought that she was unwilling. He lowered his eyes and said, if you don't want to, then don't. Su Yiyan finally woke up. She laughed and said, why wouldn't I want to? He is indeed my cousin in name. Cousin in name? Hu Chenhuan caught the main point. Why? According to seniority, he is indeed related to me, but we are not related by blood. His grandfather and my grandfather are brothers in name, but my grandfather is my great-grandfather's biological son, and his grandfather was adopted. Hu Chenhuan immediately understood what she meant. So, his family is not related to you by blood? Yes, after my grandfather married my grandmother, he separated from them. Although they also have the surname Cheng, they don't see us many times a year, so we can't be considered familiar with them. Su Yiyan leaned into Hu Chenhuan's arms. She paused and frowned. I don't really like his mother. His mother? His mother is about the same age as my mother. She is very vain, likes to compete, and is very narrow-minded. Su Yiyan knew all this in her previous life. However, the other party was an elder, and they rarely saw each other. No matter how annoying this aunt was, it was not worth it to her. Although she was annoying, Su Yiyan did not have any conflicts with her. Later, when Su Yiyan found out that the Cheng family's matter was related to her, she knew that this aunt of hers had always been jealous of her mother and Qin Shueru. Qin Shueru was fine. In her previous life, until Su Yiyan passed away, she and Qing Juanhao did not have any children. Qin Shueru's aunt had a son of her own. In any case, she won against Qin Shueru on this point. Behind her back, she often took joy in her misfortune. Qing Xiuqin was different. She had a son and a daughter, and her parents loved her dearly. She also had a husband who put her first and started his own company. Her aunt's husband was a mediocre and honest man. Although he wasn't cunning and sly, he wasn't cut out for business either. He couldn't give her the rich life she wanted. Comparing the two, her mentality immediately became unbalanced. Furthermore, she had tried to ask old Master Su to strengthen the marriage between Su Yiyan and his son. However, old Master Su had fooled her, which had poked at her sensitive self-esteem. She felt that the Qing family looked down on her and her son, so she hated them. When Su Yiyan found out about this, she felt nauseous. You're not looking for the reason why your life is not good. You're working hard to live your life well, but you're thinking about other people's lives. When you see others living better than you, you feel unbalanced and want to harm others. When she thought about it carefully, this idea was very similar to her son's. It was true that if the upper beam was not straight, the lower beam would be crooked. If they weren't from the same family, they wouldn't enter the same house. After listening to Su Yiyen's words, Hu Qinhuan was silent for a moment. Then, he said firmly, "He likes you." Su Yiyen widened her eyes in surprise and looked up at him. "How did you know?" "Intuition." Su Yiyen. So, there was a special radar between love rivals? They had only met once, and in less than 5 sentences, he could tell. As for her, she had known Qing Fenglang for a long time. Although they didn't have much contact, they had met many times. Yet, she didn't notice it at all. Chapter 679. Hu Qinhuan narrowed her eyes, and her expression revealed a hint of danger. "You know that he likes you?" His mother once talked about this with my grandfather. Based on the information from her previous life, her aunt should have mentioned this to her grandfather a long time ago. However, her grandfather didn't tell her. Instead, he secretly stopped Qing Fenglang and didn't let him have too much contact with her. He even secretly planned to send Qing Fenglang abroad for several years. Grandfather Jean was probably busy greeting the guests and didn't pay attention to the situation of the guests. This allowed Qing Fenglang to take advantage of the loophole. Hu Qinhuan's expression immediately became a little ugly. Related topics? What related topics could the elders talk about? It was nothing more than matchmaking 2 people. My grandfather didn't agree because he knew that it was impossible for me to like him. Su Yiyen lowered her eyes slightly. Moreover, I don't think he really likes me. The person he likes is just an illusion of his imagination. As for the so-called obsession later on, it was just selfishness in the end. People are selfish, but some selfish people have a bottom line, and some people don't. Moreover, later on, Su Yiyen calmed down and thought about it. She felt that this family's intention to marry her was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. In her previous life, her uncle and aunt didn't have any children and didn't think of adopting a child. The Qing family didn't have an heir in name, and they didn't want to adopt a child. The biggest possibility was to choose one of Qing Shuqin's 2 children to inherit the Qing family. Su Yuxuan had his own business. Compared to him, Su Yiyen was obviously more likely to be the heir. If Qing Fenglang married her, it wasn't impossible for him to take the entire Qing family in the future. Evil people always liked to put on a dignified shell for all the bad things they did. In fact, only they knew how many schemes they had in mind. Hu Qinhuan could see that Su Yiyen really didn't like that man. It could even be said that she hated him. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Su Yiyen rarely expressed her disgust to someone so directly. Before this, most of the people who enjoyed this treatment were weirdos who took advantage of her face and stepped on her nose. This Qing Fenglang must have done something that made her feel disgusted, which was why she was so repulsed. Hu Qinhuan's eyes turned cold. She was already planning to ask Gu Xiaoyang and the others to investigate this person's family. Besides, Hu Qinhuan's eyes flashed with a cold light when she thought of the person she had accidentally met near the venue. She was vaguely annoyed and impatient. Not long after Su Yiyen and Hu Qinhuan left the venue, Qing Fenglang and his family also left. As soon as they got into the car, Aunt Cheng's face darkened. She did not hide her jealousy and resentment towards Qing Juanhao's family. Isn't it just giving birth to a son? It was as if no one had ever given birth to a child. She couldn't wait to let everyone know. She still has a child at such an old age. I wonder if she'll still be around when the child grows up. It was no wonder that Aunt Cheng was so angry that her face was distorted. She thought that the Cheng family's bloodline would be cut off. Her family might not be able to get a share of the profits after old Master Cheng passed away. But in the end, Qin Shuaru suddenly had a child. All her gloating and greedy expectations were in vain. How could she not be angry? Aunt Cheng's husband, Qing Fenglang's father, frowned when he heard his wife's words. He disagreed and said, Stop talking. It's a good thing for people to have children. How can you curse people like that? Chapter 680. It would have been fine if he hadn't said anything, but after he said that, Aunt Cheng's anger rose. I did. What's wrong? Do you want to complain to them about me? I haven't even told you yet, and you have the nerve to scold me. We're both members of the Cheng family. They eat and drink well, live in a big, spacious, and beautiful house, and have servants and chefs at home. They live comfortably. What about our family? We even have to hesitate to buy a new house for our children. Aunt Cheng pointed at her husband and scolded him like a shrew. You're useless. You don't even dare to fart in front of others. I'm just telling the truth, and you're so afraid of offending people. Why, am I wrong? It was their family who didn't do well in the first place. They coaxed the old master to leave everything to them. That's not a big deal. We're a family after all. They took the benefits and helped us. It's nothing. But in the end, they're living a comfortable life and have everything, but they can only watch as our family lives a hard life. In my opinion, the reason why they haven't had children for so many years is because they've done too many wicked things. It's retribution. If the old master has eyes, he should let them die without descendants. Uncle Cheng listened to his wife's sarcastic words and opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Although he was honest, his family hadn't been harmonious all these years, and his career hadn't been going well. This man, who didn't have much ability, had experienced the vicissitudes of life and misery. His wife's accusations also made him start to resent the Cheng family. No matter what, they were still relatives. If the Cheng family had given them something, their family wouldn't have had such a hard time. However, the couple had clearly forgotten that although they had the surname Cheng, they weren't related to the Cheng family at all. Back then, the old master of the Cheng family had taken pity on their grandfather, so he adopted him and gave him a meal. Later, although they separated from the family and didn't give their grandfather as many things as old Master Cheng, he was still their biological son. You were just an adopted son. They gave you such a large sum of money, enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. It could be said that they didn't let you down. As long as you had some backbone and took this money to walk your own path, that would be your ability. However, Cheng Fenglang's grandfather didn't think so. After receiving the money, he resented the Cheng family while hoping that he could still freeload off his brother after spending all the money. Instead of being down to earth and using the money to do some business to support his family, he spent even more than usual. It didn't take long for him to spend more than half of the money and excitedly ran to the Cheng family to ask for more money. In the beginning, the Cheng family still gave them 1 or 2 times out of consideration for their old friendship. Later, they realized that these people were just bloodsuckers who couldn't be fed enough, so they stopped paying attention to them. Instead, they bore a grudge against them. Even the younger generation was resentful. They felt that the Cheng family had deliberately raised their grandfather to be a cripple to prevent him from competing with old Master Cheng for the family inheritance. It was really like the saying, once you've gained enough, you'll gain enough enmity. Cheng Fenglang's family had already squandered most of their money in Grandpa Cheng's generation. When it came to Uncle Cheng's generation, they wanted to take the money to do some business. Unfortunately, Uncle Cheng didn't have any business acumen. After doing business for a few years, he didn't make much money and even lost a lot. The more difficult the days were, the more Aunt Cheng hated the Cheng family. However, it never occurred to her that the Cheng family had never owed them anything. Why should they help them? Chapter 681. Enough. Can't you be quiet? Cheng Fenglang listened to his parents' quarrel, and his face was gloomy to the extreme. He finally couldn't help but shout in a low voice. Aunt Cheng's face was full of unwillingness. Just as she was about to speak, she met her son's ugly face. Fenglang, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so pale? Uncle Cheng also noticed his son's abnormality when she shouted. He asked with concern, are you feeling unwell? Cheng Fenglang was silent for a moment, then said in a hoarse voice, I just met Yan Yan. Yan Yan? Aunt Ching was stunned for a moment. It took her a long time to remember who the Yen Ching Fenglang was talking about was. Her face darkened. You met her? Did she say something unpleasant to you and make you sad? Aunt Ching didn't wait for Ching Fenglang to answer and came to a conclusion first. It must be. This B**TCH is the same as her mother. They both worship the strong and trample on the weak. Their eyes are on the top of their heads. They look down on our family and think that our family isn't good enough for her. She married an incompetent cripple from a rich family. Cripple? Ching Fenglang was shocked. He knew about Su Yiyan's sudden marriage. At that time, he was sad for a long time. At that time, he was still abroad. If his parents hadn't stopped him, he even wanted to go to Su Yiyan personally and ask her what was wrong with him. Aunt Cheng's face changed slightly. She realized that she had accidentally spilled the beans. As a relative, she had heard a lot of gossip about Su Yiyan's family. After knowing that Su Yiyan had married a cripple, she was relieved, but at the same time, she was worried that her son would be sad when he found out, so she had been hiding it. Who would have thought that she would blurt it out so quickly? However, since it was out, Aunt Ching didn't hide it anymore. Isn't he a cripple? It's said that he's in a wheelchair. His legs are disabled and he can't even stand up. His legs are disabled. Ching Fenglang's eyes narrowed. But the man just now is not a cripple. Not a cripple. How is that possible? I asked around at that time. He's a cripple in a wheelchair. It's said that his legs have been broken for more than 10 years. There's no doubt about it. Then Aunt Ching rolled her eyes and thought that she understood. That man is definitely not her husband. He's someone she's having an affair with. How is this possible? Why not? That B**TCH must have been unwilling to marry a cripple. Let's not talk about anything else. That man's legs are crippled, and he won't be able to have sex with her. Isn't it just a matter of time? If you don't want to, then why did you marry him? Ching Fenglang still couldn't accept that the woman he liked would rather marry a cripple who couldn't even walk by himself than choose him. Aunt Ching rolled her eyes at her son and said in exasperation, of course it's for money. For money? For a young lady to marry a cripple, other than for his family's money, what else could it be? Didn't I just say that? The man she married was probably very rich, at least richer than that B**TCH's family. If the two of them get married, it might be. Yes, it's a business marriage. After getting married, they'll go their separate ways. Ching Fenglang's eyes were slightly red. He still didn't want to believe that the woman he liked was such a person. Aunt Ching was still nagging about Su Yiyan, but Ching Fenglang couldn't listen to a single word. After a few minutes, he muttered, she's pregnant. Chapter 682. She's pregnant? Aunt Ching exclaimed. She's pregnant? Whose child is it? It should be the man beside her. Aunt Ching pursed her lips with a look of disdain. It's fine if she's just fooling around outside, but she's actually pregnant. Is this B**TCH determined to let her man take over and raise another man's child? As expected of Ching Xiuqin's despicable daughter, she's just as despicable. Isn't she living comfortably with her man's money? She's still raising another man and giving birth to another man's child. Shameless. Aunt Cheng's words were unpleasant to the ears, and Uncle Cheng couldn't help but say, stop talking. Why should I stop talking? She did it herself, so why should she be afraid of others? Aunt Cheng wasn't willing to let go of this opportunity to scold Aunt Cheng. She snorted and continued, fortunately, our Fenglang didn't marry her back then. Who knows what kind of trouble such a promiscuous woman would cause if he married her? You. Uncle Cheng and his wife quarreled for a while. Ching Fenglang listened on the side and didn't say anything else. However, from his tightly clenched fists and the veins on the back of his hands, one could still see that his heart was not calm at this moment. After an unknown period of time, Qing Fenglang's expression gradually returned to its original calmness, but there was a hint of complexity and hatred in the depths of his eyes. At that time, Su Yiyan had no idea that in the eyes of Qing Fenglang and his family, she had already become an adulterous woman who had cheated on her husband. On the second day of the full moon banquet, she directly mentioned Qing Fenglang's family to old Master Cheng and the others, warning them to be on guard against this family and not get too close to them if there was nothing. Although Qing Juanhao and the others were a little puzzled, they knew that Su Yiyan wouldn't harm them, so they nodded and agreed. Old Master Cheng was surprised by Su Yiyan's words, and his expression became complicated. Obviously, he thought of what Aunt Cheng had mentioned to him before. He vaguely guessed that his granddaughter probably already knew about this and had some unpleasant conflict with this family. Both grandfather and grandson were well aware of this, but they had a tacit understanding. Neither of them mentioned this matter. After the full moon ceremony, Su Yiyan and Qing Su Yiyan stayed at the Qing residence for a few more days. Only when the baby in Su Yiyan's stomach was 3 months old did they set off for a city. In less than 2 months, the businesses under the two men's names did not have any major problems. At Luo Baogeng's side, the auditions for the main cast of Red Brave were almost done. Most of the roles had already been confirmed. As Hu Qinhuan expected, Douyi's people didn't want to find trouble with Luo Baogeng, pressuring him to withdraw from the cast. However, Luo Baogeng was a person who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. The more Hai Yi tried to make trouble for him, the more he wanted to film this drama well and slap them in the face. Secondly, Hu Qinhuan had predicted this would happen and had sent people to protect the couple. Hai Yi had been rebuffed several times, so they slowly calmed down. In addition to Luo Baogeng's matter, there was also an interesting matter. It was the only modern IP among the 3 IPs that Su Yiyan had her eyes on. At that time, Zhu took the lead and extended an olive branch to Dong Cheng, wanting to invest in exchange for 2 roles in this drama, a male lead and a second female lead. Su Yiyan only promised to give them an opportunity to audition, and if they succeeded, they would be let into the cast. In the end, the 2 dresses had some ability and got the 2 roles after the audition. However, not long after they entered the cast, the second female lead actress began to cause trouble. Chapter 683. She wants to add scenes. She even brought her own screenwriter into the crew. When Su Yiyan heard about this, she almost laughed out of anger. Does she think the crew is her home? Everyone in the crew has to revolve around her, right? Tell her to behave herself, or she'll get lost. She's not part of our company to begin with. Dong Cheng has no obligation to spoil her. Su Yiyan's words fully explained Dong Cheng's attitude towards this matter. However, how could someone who could do such a strange thing as bringing in her own screenwriter be well behaved? The second daughter, who had caused trouble as soon as she entered the crew, was asked to leave the crew and sent back to Zhu. It would have been fine if this matter had ended there, but a certain someone was not someone who could settle things peacefully. As soon as she returned to the company, she started causing trouble. She claimed that on the first day of entering the crew, she was bullied by the cast and staff because she was not an artiste of Dong Cheng. She was forced to leave the crew and led the fans to tear Dong Cheng apart. Dong Cheng had originally considered that Zhu still had a male artiste in the crew, and that he was more well-behaved. It was not good for them to fall out with Zhu and make things too ugly, so they did not pursue the strange thing that this female artiste had done. In the end, someone took their tolerance for weakness. Dongqing City didn't give Zhu any face. They immediately announced the whole story and asked for compensation. That's right, compensation. When Zhu had taken the initiative to express goodwill, Su Yiyan had deliberately been on guard against the 2 actors who had been stuffed into the crew. It was not uncommon for the entertainment industry to bring money into the crew to change the script and forcefully add the supporting roles to be similar to the lead roles. Therefore, she made it clear that all the artistes in the cast had to sign a guarantee to ensure that they would not cause any trouble in the cast. Now that this female artiste had caused such a scene, the compensation was secondary. She had only been in the crew for 2 or 3 days, so the crew had not delayed her for long. The main reason was that the crew had to find someone else to take the loss, but this was not a big deal to Ju-ing. However, after she caused such a scene, everyone knew that she was acting like a big shot. She even brought her own screenwriter into the crew to add scenes. Over the years, those die-hard fans of the Bright White Moon IP had been changed beyond recognition because of the extra scenes in the supporting roles. They only had an IP name, but the plot had nothing to do with the original work. All of a sudden, they vented their anger on her and scolded her. In the future, if there were any other directors who wanted to get her to act in a movie, they would have to consider whether they could withstand the negative public opinion brought about by this person and whether they could afford to serve such an ancestor. On the contrary, Dongqing's tough attitude had also attracted a wave of fans, which made the fans of the books and comics who were originally worried that their own IP would be magically altered temporarily calm down. It also made the low-key crew feel a wave of presence and warm up in advance. She's saved us a lot of publicity fees by making such a scene. In addition to the other compensation for the losses, it's not a loss. When Xia Junxing heard Su Yiyan's words, his first reaction was to think that she might have already predicted that someone would make such a scene. Not only did she punish her as an example to others, but she also stepped on her and made a strong impression on the crew. After thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was not impossible. Agreeing to Ju Ying's request was considered giving Ju-ing face. At that time, signing the contract was also a guarantee for both of them. It would be best if these two artistes knew their place. Everyone could film a good drama peacefully, and it would be a win-win situation for both parties. Once they caused trouble, it would be a waste not to take the heat that came knocking on their door. Chapter 684. The second female lead was kicked out of the cast and caused such a ruckus. The male lead, Qi Qiumiao, was left in an awkward position. He originally thought that after the female artist caused such a ruckus, Dong Qing would take their anger out on him and he might not be able to keep his position as the male lead. At the very least, he would be implicated and isolated in the cast. It was also possible that they would try to trip him up. However, after he stayed in the cast for half a month, nothing happened. Everyone's attitude towards him did not change. They did not make things difficult for him, nor did they take revenge on him. In the end, Qi Qiumiao was really curious, so he secretly asked a small actor in the cast who had a good relationship with him. After hearing his words, the young actor looked at him in surprise and then laughed. "So this is what you've been thinking about for the past half a month. Fortunately, everything was normal when you were acting. Otherwise, Director Zhuang would have already come to you for counseling." Qi Qiumiao looked embarrassed. After laughing, the small actor pretended to be angry and said, "In your eyes, are we such narrow-minded people?" As soon as that weirdo was kicked out of the cast, the company gave a notice. "That woman is that woman, you are you, what she does has nothing to do with you. It's already bad enough that you have a colleague who is dragging you down. We don't want to add insult to injury." The small actor paused and smiled faintly. "Actually, even if the company didn't say anything, we wouldn't do anything to you. After all, anyone with eyes can see that you are different from that woman. As long as you're not an idiot, you won't be involved in what she did." Qi Qiumiao was touched and couldn't help but sigh at someone's stupidity. He didn't even know his own position. It wasn't easy for him to get into the cast, but he still caused trouble. Did he really think that he could do whatever he wanted just because he had a backer? Although Dongqing Entertainment was still a small company in development, all the things it had done during this period of time showed that it had someone backing it up. If anyone dared to mess with Dongqing Entertainment or its artists, Dongqing Entertainment would kill them. Signing that agreement before entering the production team meant that the other party had seen through your thoughts and had already come up with a plan to deal with it. You, on the other hand, didn't care about anything. Did you really think that everyone had to give in to you? If they didn't fix you, who would they fix? Also, I heard that because of that woman, your agency even gave us an additional investment as an apology. Haven't you noticed that our food has become much more sumptuous recently? At least, it's no longer those tasteless nutrient solutions. Which production crew do you think would be so generous? The young actor even patted Qi Qiumiao's shoulder in a serious manner and said in an old-fashioned manner, "If we really want to talk about this, it's all thanks to you. If you weren't still in our crew, how could such a good thing happen? Everyone can't wait to be nice to you. Why would they bother you for no reason?" Qi Qiumiao. The director was right, but after hearing what you said, I suddenly wasn't so touched anymore. When Su Yiyan and Hu Qinhuan returned, no one was happier than Uncle Zhang. She had been in the family Hua for decades, so her concern for the future of the family was no less than that of Hu Qinhuan. As a result, Su Yiyan had to face the concern and nagging of two people as soon as he returned. "Young madam is back. I heard that because of your pregnancy, young madam didn't have much of an appetite recently. Is she better now? Is there anything you want to eat? I'll ask the kitchen to make it in a moment." Chapter 685. "Young madam, you must be tired after coming back, right? Why don't you go up and rest first? I'll get them to send the food to your room later." Young madam, Uncle Zhang's nagging was even worse than Hu Qinhuan's. Su Yiyan couldn't take it anymore after listening for a while. She turned to Hu Qinhuan for help. Hu Qinhuan, who felt deeply that he had fallen out of favor in this family, smiled at her, indicating that there was nothing he could do to help. Fortunately, Ling Xiaoqi knew that she was coming back today and came to the family Hu right on time. As a result, she saved Su Yiyan from Uncle Zhang's nagging. As soon as Su Yiyan saw Ling Xiaoqi, her eyes lit up. She immediately went forward and held her hand enthusiastically. She smiled and said, "Xiaoqi is here. Uncle Zhang, get the kitchen to prepare some snacks. Xiaoqi likes to eat sweet things." Now that the guest was here, Uncle Zhang naturally had to help greet the guest. He didn't continue nagging Su Yiyan and turned to enter the kitchen. Su Yiyan heaved a sigh of relief, her face full of lingering fear. Ling Xiaoqi looked at this and then at that and was confused. "What's wrong? You missed me so much after being away for 2 months. You thought that you would pounce on me as soon as you saw me. You actually remembered that I like to eat sweet things and specially prepared snacks for me. TSK, I'm indeed your true love." "Bah! Don't flatter yourself. My true love is my husband. I was so enthusiastic about you just now because Uncle Zhang is really good at nagging. It's been almost half an hour since I came back. He can't wait to tell me everything from head to toe. My ears are still buzzing. If you came a little later, you might not have seen me." Ling Xiaoqi heard her say this, and a trace of sadness and envy flashed past her eyes. "He also cares about you. Old people always care about children the most. You weren't at home for the first 3 months, so he probably missed you. It wasn't easy for him to wait for you to come back, so how could he not seize the opportunity to miss you?" Su Yiyan sighed. If she didn't know this, she would have run away as soon as Uncle Zhang opened his mouth. Why would she stand there and listen to him talk for so long? By the way, where's Dun Dun? Ling Xiaoqi glanced around with a puzzled expression. Usually, when the little guy saw her bringing a hua hua over, it would stick to her without asking. Today, it was strange. She had been here for a long time, but she still hadn't seen it. Playing in the back garden. When she had just gotten pregnant, Chen had said that it was not good for pregnant women to carry dogs. This little guy had been holding a grudge ever since. These days, every time we took the initiative to get close to it, it was rejected and unwilling to let us hug it. Su Yiyan's words were filled with the vicissitudes of a child who had reached the rebellious stage. This little bastard is getting more and more arrogant as he grows up. I wonder who he takes after. Hu Qinhuan, who suddenly met his wife's gaze, was speechless. Why are you looking at me? Although it usually called him dog daddy, this little bastard's genes definitely had nothing to do with him. He wasn't going to take the blame. Ling Xiaoqi's eyes flashed when she heard Su Yiyan's words. She smiled and said, although these little guys don't know how to speak human language, they are no different from humans after interacting with them for a long time. If you say these things in front of them, they will definitely throw a tantrum. Take our Hua Hua for example. Occasionally, when I throw a tantrum with it, it will also give me a hard time. If you don't coax it well, it will definitely not let you hug it. Chapter 686. Ling Xiaoqi changed the topic. Let Hua Hua play with it for a while. With Hua Hua around, it might cool down. Su Yiyan couldn't help but look at Ling Xiaoqi in shock. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. What's with that expression? It's an expression I've seen in my life. Su Yiyan sighed and said sadly, I don't know who was the one who guarded against our Dun-Dun like it was a thief. She didn't allow it to come within 1 meter of your Hua Hua. How long has it been since then? You actually took the initiative to let Hua Hua play with our Dun-Dun. What's wrong? After 2 months of separation, you, the mother-in-law, have finally thought things through and decided to let this pair of lovebirds be together? Ling Xiaoqi listened to her teasing and her veins throbbed. She gritted her teeth and shouted, Su. Yeah. Yen. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. For the sake of her baby's lifelong happiness, Su Yiyan stopped while she was ahead. Chenhuan, bring Hua Hua over. That little cub might let you carry it when it sees Hua Hua. Hua Chenhuan thought to herself, I don't want to carry that little bastard. In the 2 months it stayed with the Cheng family, the little guy didn't grow anything except a body full of fat. Its little paws were now full of holes. Moreover, old Master Cheng would take it out for a walk whenever he felt like it. It would definitely be as heavy as a solid wooden club. However, since his wife had spoken, Hua Chenhuan didn't refuse. She held Hua Hua's hand and walked to the back garden. After Hua Chenhuan left, Ling Xiaoqi relaxed a lot. She moved closer to Su Yiyan and teased, aren't you guys too efficient? Didn't your husband officially consummate his marriage after his legs healed? How old is the baby now? It's been 3 months. 3 months? Ling Xiaoqi roughly calculated the time and said, so not long after your husband's leg recovered, he. Tsk, tisk. Ling Xiaoqi didn't say anything explicit, but her teasing eyes were far more embarrassing than any words. Su Yiyan's face was slightly red, but she still raised her chin and said, jealous? Yes. I'm envious. Su Yiyan rolled her eyes. Forget it, let's not talk about me. How have you been? Is there any problem with work? Did anyone in the company make things difficult for you? Work is going well. The people in the company are very nice to me. No one is making things difficult for me. When Ling Xiaoqi first joined the company, she was also worried that the people in the company, especially her boss, would have a problem with her if he knew that she was a person who came in through connections. He would work with other employees to make things difficult for her behind her back. In the beginning, when she went in, her boss wasn't too cold to her, but he wasn't enthusiastic either. Later, after observing her for a period of time and confirming that she really had some ability, his attitude became much better. The colleagues around her also didn't flatter or bully her. They just treated her as an ordinary colleague. Overall, the working atmosphere in the department was very good, and the benefits were good. Ling Xiaoqi looked very relaxed when talking about work and colleagues, but then she thought of something and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. What's wrong? Why do you suddenly look so bad? Ling Xiaoqi opened her mouth, but she seemed to have some concerns and stopped talking. Su Yiyan was keenly aware that something was wrong. She frowned and said, what happened? Why can't I tell you? There's no one else here. Tell me quickly. Hearing Su Yiyan's urging, Ling Xiaoqi pursed her lips for a while and said in a hoarse voice, that man came to me. Chapter 687. That man? Which man? Su Yiyan was a little confused. Her first reaction was that when did Ling Xiaoqi have a boyfriend? Why didn't she tell her? But on second thought, since Ling Xiaoqi said so, she must know about this man. Could it be, you mean, your blood-related father? When Ling Xiaoqi heard the word father, her little face turned pale, and she nodded reluctantly. Su Yiyan's face darkened. She had tried so hard to prevent it, but Ling Xiaoqi's scumbag father still came looking for her. Why is he looking for you? Does he want to acknowledge you? Yes. Su Yiyan suppressed the anger in her heart, took a deep breath, and said, then what do you think? Do you want to acknowledge him? Ling Xiaoqi was silent for a moment, but she still shook her head firmly. I don't want to acknowledge him. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. Since you don't want to acknowledge him, then don't acknowledge him. If he really wanted to look for you, he wouldn't have waited until you've grown up to find you. After all, he was Ling Xiaoqi's biological father. Ling Xiaoqi was qualified to judge his scumbag behavior, but as her friend, she couldn't say too much directly. She only deliberated and said, no matter what, don't give in first. I'll ask someone to investigate his background and the real purpose of his sudden visit to you. If you don't know anything, you'll be too passive if you face him alone. Ling Xiaoqi's heart warmed. Before this, she was actually very hesitant to tell Su Yiyan about this matter. After all, this was also a bad debt of their family. Ling Xiaoqi always felt a little guilty and uneasy about involving people indiscriminately. But after hesitating for a few days, she really had no choice. Her mother had passed away, and the only people she was close to now, other than Huahua, was Su Yiyan. Although I don't know his background, he looks very rich and has some power. I'm afraid he's not easy to deal with. Su Yiyan was startled and quickly realized that Ling Xiaoqi was worried that he would get into trouble if he interfered in her affairs. How rich? Is he as rich as my man? Ling Xiaoqi. How would I know how rich your man is? No, at this time, can you stop flaunting your wealth indiscriminately? Su Yiyan's words instantly dissipated the tense and serious atmosphere. Su Yiyan could roughly guess Ling Xiaoqi's concerns. He held her hand tightly and said, don't worry about those things. At the very least, there's still my father and my uncles. My family is your family. As long as you don't want to, no one can force you to do something you don't want to do, and no one can bully you. Su Yiyan's eyes turned cold when he thought of Ling Xiaoqi's ending in his previous life. No matter what, he couldn't let her go back to that cannibalistic family. Yan. Ling Xiaoqi's eyes reddened. She was touched and her heart calmed down. All right. Don't agree to the marriage between your Huahua and my Dundan just because you're touched. This way, we'll be in-laws, and I'll have more power to interfere in your affairs. Go to hell. Ling Xiaoqi held back the tears that were about to fall out of her eyes. She glared at Su Yiyan angrily. Why didn't I realize you were so indecent before? You've turned bad after having a man. You've been led astray by that man of yours. Su Yiyan raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, don't falsely accuse my Qinhuan. I've always been indecent. Ling Xiaoqi. Can you be any more righteous? Shameless. Chapter 688. After being interrupted by Su Yiyan, Ling Xiaoqi's mood was finally less depressed. Su Yiyan was also able to ask the question in her heart. Do you know how he found you? She had tried her best to avoid the key point of Ling Xiaoqi being found, but she still couldn't escape. Speaking of this, Ling Xiaoqi couldn't help but frown. I'm not too sure. About a week ago, he suddenly appeared with people and said that he was my biological father. I didn't believe it at first and thought that he was a liar. Then he took out a paternity test. Then did he tell you about his family's situation and why he abandoned your mother and you? Yes, he said that he only found out about my existence recently. He also said that things were complicated back then and that my mother misunderstood him. He didn't have any feelings for his fiancée and it was just a business marriage. At that time, he had already made up his mind to break off the engagement with her and marry my mother. He didn't expect my mother to find out about it first and run away without saying a word. Do you believe it? Ling Xiaoqi rolled her eyes. I don't believe it. Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes and chuckled. Why don't you ask him why he didn't look for your mother immediately after she ran away? Is his current wife the same fiancée he had back then? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned and then smiled bitterly. That's not important. Even if what he said was true, it was impossible to make up for the hurt she and her mother had suffered all these years. And if what he said was false, it meant that her mother was right to leave back then. Such a person wasn't worthy of her love, let alone her recognition. From the beginning, she didn't intend to have anything to do with him. Su Yiyan didn't think so. She knew very well that Ling Xiaoqi wasn't a ruthless person. The reason why she insisted on not recognizing that man was because of her mother's life. After a long time, she might be soft-hearted. And once she was soft-hearted, who knew what would happen? One must know that the entire family was not a benevolent bunch. The best way was to let Ling Xiaoqi see the true colors of this family as soon as possible and completely give up on them. The two of them chatted for a while. Ling Xiaoqi could tell that Su Yiyan was still a little tired because she had just returned and was pregnant. After a few more words, she thoughtfully got up and prepared to leave. Ling Xiaoqi followed Su Yiyan to the back garden to look for Huahua, but she saw a shameful scene. Caught off guard, the two of them froze for a few seconds at the same time. Then, a scream suddenly rang through the family mansion. Oh, you! Su Yiyan squatted in front of Dun Dun and reached out to poke its head that had been beaten up. She thought about how certain someone had been so angry that he ran away with Huahua. She couldn't help but chuckle. Then, she poked Dun Dun's little head and said with a smile, "You deserve it." Although he could understand that absence makes the heart grow fonder, he still dared to act like this when the owner was still outside. This time, his puppy would really have to choose between Dandan and Huahua. Dun Dun whined, expressing its grievance. It had been separated from its wife for more than 2 months. Now that they finally met, what was wrong with being affectionate? Sob, 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 his mother-in-law always broke up the two of them. It was really wronged, really miserable. Su Yiyan squatted beside Dun Dun and scolded it a little. Seeing that it was in low spirits and didn't respond, she didn't laugh at it anymore. She instructed Yuan Yuan, who was guarding at the side, to keep an eye on it and left. Chapter 689. As soon as Su Yiyan returned to the front yard, she saw Hu Chenhuan walking out of the small kitchen with a bowl of hot porridge in her hand. This porridge was naturally prepared for Su Yiyan. Hu Chenhuan stepped forward, pulled Su Yiyan's hand, and brought her to the dining table. Are you hungry? Have some porridge. Su Yiyan was indeed a little hungry, so she didn't refuse and took the bowl of porridge to drink. When she was almost done, she asked curiously, "Where did you go just now?" "Those 2 dogs are in the garden, cough, cough, they are making trouble." "You didn't see Xiaoqi's expression when she left just now, ha 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 ha." "I know." Su Yiyan blinked with an inexplicable expression. "You know." After being stunned for a few seconds, she reacted to Hu Chenhuan's words. "You mean, you know that Dun Dun and Xiaoqi?" Hu Chenhuan smiled and didn't comment. "Then why didn't you separate them?" Since this guy knew, maybe he hadn't left when they were doing things, and he could have separated them completely. "If it were me, I wouldn't want to be disturbed at this time." Su Yiyan was stunned, and then her little face blushed. She glared at Hu Chenhuan with shame and indignation. "Besides, it's normal for them to be like this. Maybe before our baby is born, Dun Dun has already become a dog's father." Su Yiyan. "Before it became a father, it might be beaten to death by Xiaoqi. I suspect that you are taking revenge on purpose." She knew that Ling Xiaoqi was still in the front yard and might be irritated by this scene at any time, but she didn't stop it. Taking revenge on purpose? Hu Qinhuan raised her eyebrows. Do I have any enmity with it? Of course. The Qing family's small courtyard house was not as soundproof as the family Hu's old mansion. Ever since the little rascal had quarreled with them, he had been running to their door every night, scratching and yelling at them. However, every time Hu Qinhuan went out to catch it, this little rascal would run away like a loach, faster than anyone else. Su Yiyan looked at Hu Qinhuan with an aggrieved expression. What good will it do you if our son loses his balls? Hu Qinhuan almost laughed out loud. At least it will be a little more well-behaved and won't be as energetic as it is now. Moreover, after sterilization, its lifespan will be longer. This last sentence accurately hit Su Yiyan's weak spot. After all, the lifespan of a dog could not be compared to that of a human. After raising it for a long time, it was inevitable that there would be feelings. If possible, Su Yiyan also hoped that this little guy could accompany their family for a long time. Hu Qinhuan looked at Su Yiyan's expression and knew that this matter was most likely going to happen. Fortunately, Dun Dun didn't know his dog father's sinister intentions at all. Otherwise, he would definitely curse in his heart, "You are so vicious. What did you talk about just now?" Nothing, we just talked about each other's recent situation, and also, Su Yiyan didn't think of hiding it from him. Xiaoqi's biological father came to look for her. Is it the biological father you mentioned before who clearly had a fiancé but still played with Xiaoqi's mother's feelings and was later kicked away by her mother? These two words could be said to be very intelligent. Su Yiyan's serious expression was instantly replaced by a smile. Yes, it's this scumbag. Why is her father looking for her? Does he want to acknowledge her? Does she want to acknowledge this father? Su Yiyan sighed and said helplessly, what do you think? If she wanted to acknowledge him, she would have gone to look for him long ago. Why would she wait until now? Chapter 690. Hu Qinhuan saw that the corner of Su Yiyan's mouth was stained with porridge and reached out to help her wipe it. Since she doesn't want to acknowledge that person, why do you still look so worried? Isn't this a good thing? It's naturally a good thing that she's open-minded and doesn't want to acknowledge that man. Su Yiyan sighed. But it's precisely because she doesn't want to acknowledge him that it's troublesome. This scumbag suddenly came to find Xiaoqi after such a long time and is in a hurry to acknowledge her as his home. There must be something fishy about this. Xiaoqi is a girl after all. If she angers him, you're worried that they'll use force if they can't persuade her. Su Yiyan lowered her head and stirred the spoon in the bowl. She lowered her eyes and said, help me check this man's background and his real purpose for suddenly coming to find Xiaoqi. I always feel that he must have other motives for suddenly appearing like this and being so anxious to acknowledge Xiaoqi as his home. Su Yiyan knew very well why this person came. But the reason why she knew so clearly was that she had experienced it personally in her previous life. Now that there was no evidence, she couldn't run to Ling Xiaoqi and tell her that she knew why her scumbag father came to find her. She also knew that once she returned home, her scumbag father's first wife would unite with her family to crazily take revenge on her, so much so that she would end up in a miserable state in the near future. Not to mention whether Ling Xiaoqi believed it or not, those who had a little idea would probably treat her as a lunatic. Okay, I'll help you check. Thank you, dear Mua. Su Yiyan chuckled and took the initiative to kiss Hu Qinhuan. Hu Qinhuan's eyes suddenly became deep. You want to bribe me with this little reward? Then what other reward do you want? Su Yiyan stood up and touched her stomach that wasn't very obvious yet. She looked proud. I'm already carrying your child in my stomach. I'm just asking you to help me with something. Why do you want this and that? Am I spoiling you too much recently? Hu Qinhuan was amused by her, but he still stood up very cooperatively and said, yes. My wife is right. You're the most important person in our family now. If there's anything you want me to do, I'll do it. I definitely won't have any objections, and I definitely won't ask for anything in return. Although she said that, Hu Chenhuan still leaned over and kissed her again before saying in a low voice, I'm going to check it out. Wait for my news. Yes. It had to be said that Hu Chenhuan's actions were quite fast. Or it could be said that the things that had happened in the Qin family recently were not a secret to begin with. It only took a little investigation for her to find out. Ling Xiaoqi's biological father was Qin Fangde, the current head of the Qin family in City F. The Qin family's internal affairs were quite complicated, and there were all kinds of complicated relationships. Qin Fangde's position as the head of the Qin family was actually not very stable. Back then, his father, who was the previous head of the Qin family, had raised his son completely by raising poisonous insects. Qin Fangde had 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. None of them were easy to deal with. At that time, Qin Fangde's position in the family was actually very awkward. In addition, his ability was not outstanding compared to the other brothers. Instead, he became the most neglected and was regarded as the most useless one. No one would have thought that his 3 brothers would fight to the death for the family property. In the end, one of them was disabled and the other 2 died. In the end, it was him, the most inconspicuous one, who took advantage of the situation. However, his brothers were almost no longer a threat, leaving him a bunch of nephews who were covetously eyeing his position as the head of the family, ready to bite off a piece of meat from him at any time. Chapter 691. Especially the 2 sons of his 4th brother, Qin Jinghong. After all, the children of his first 2 brothers had lost their father when they were young, so they didn't have as much confidence as these 2 children. As for his 4th brother, because he was the youngest child in the family, he was very favored by old Master Qin, who was also Qin Fangde's father. He was a strong competitor for the position of family head. Even after he became disabled, he always believed that Qin Fangde stole the position of family head that originally belonged to him, and he always made things difficult for Qin Fangde. Under his influence, his 2 sons naturally thought the same way. They felt that the position of the family head should belong to their father. Qin Jinghong's health wasn't good, so it wasn't a big deal to let Qin Fangde take over for a while. Now that they were all grown up, the position should be returned to their family. This thought reached its peak after Qin Fangde's son, Qin Junwu, died in an accident some time ago. In the past year, he kept making small moves, and he couldn't wait to kick Qin Fangde off the position of family head and replace him. So, the reason why he came to find me is because his only son died, and he wants me to go back and help him inherit the family business. Ling Xiaoqi thought of many possibilities, but this was the only one that didn't occur to her. But, this doesn't make sense. I'm a girl, and although I don't think I'm much worse than a boy, his nephews, and the higher-ups in his company obviously don't think so. Even if I really go back with him, based on the current situation, it's useless. Why not? Why not let his first wife or another woman give birth to another son for him? Because he has no choice. No choice. Su Yiyan turned to look at Hu Chenhuan and smiled faintly. The only heir died, and the old people in the family who originally supported him saw that the situation wasn't right, so they quickly sought refuge with other people. Not to mention that he's over 50 now, and his wife is a few years younger than him, so it's not easy for him to have another child. It'll take more than 10 years for this child to really grow up, and Qin Fangde can't wait that long. Ling Xiaoqi frowned. She had to admit that Su Yiyan was right. On the other hand, even if he wants to have another child, he can't. Can't have another child? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. You mean? It's exactly what you think. Qin Fangde's first wife was the eldest daughter of the Di family. The Di family was also a prestigious family in City F and was even more prominent than the Qin family at that time. However, Miss Di's position in the Di family was somewhat awkward. She was the eldest daughter of the Di family's family head, but her mother had passed away early and her father had found her a stepmother. This stepmother later gave birth to a boy and a girl. With a younger brother and sister, as the daughter of the first wife, she was naturally not well liked. It was worth mentioning that Miss D had her eyes on Qin Jinghong at that time and even had a relationship with him. Later, when the Qin brothers died and one was crippled, she immediately abandoned Qin Jinghong and threw herself into Qin Fengda's arms. At that time, Qin Fengda's status was not very stable, so the marriage was inevitable. Although Miss D's status in the D family was somewhat awkward, such a person was easier to control. At that time, Qin Fengda was also very optimistic. He wanted to marry a woman who could help him, provide for her at home, and maintain the harmony between husband and wife. Outside, he could do whatever he wanted. However, he had never expected that Miss D was also a ruthless person. She had known about the existence of Ling Xiaoqi's mother long ago and saw Qin Fengda's character clearly. Chapter 692. It was already like this before the marriage, and it would only get worse after the marriage. Miss D, who knew that there were only 0 and countless times of cheating, was pregnant with a child and confirmed that the child was a boy. She decisively used some small tricks to make Qin Fengda die without anyone knowing. She is too. Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. Sympathize with your scumbag father? Ling Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at Su Yiyan. Sympathize my ass. I can only say that you did a good job. I think so too, Su Yiyan said and looked at Hua Qinhuan meaningfully. Why are you looking at me? Hua Qinhuan held Su Yiyan's hand and pretended to be angry. Do you think I will be like him? That's hard to say. Su Yiyan snorted. People say that a pregnant husband is the most empty and lonely. Moreover, a lifetime is so long. Who can say for sure? Hua Qinhuan raised her eyebrows. If I really did something wrong to you, what would you do? What do you think? Su Yiyan looked Hua Qinhuan up and down and laughed. I think this Mrs. Qin's way of doing things is quite good. It is worth learning. Hua Qinhuan was not angry. Instead, she said in a good temper, okay, if you are really angry and want to hit me, I will not fight back. His tone sounded like he was coaxing an unreasonable little girl. Su Yiyan blushed, and her eyes wandered as she said, what a sweet talker. Enough, you two. They were talking about serious matters, but these two people were showing off their love. It was so difficult for a single person like her. Ahem. Su Yiyan coughed softly and went back to the topic. Anyway, this is what happened. This Mrs. Qin probably did not expect that her son would die in an accident when he grew up. Who said it was an accident? When Hua Qinhuan said this, the two people present were shocked. Not an accident? Then. Although we haven't found out who did it, it's very likely that it wasn't an accident. The place where Qin Junwo got into the accident was too desolate, and it was late at night. The final conclusion given by the police was that Qin Junwo was drunk and crashed into the guardrail by the side of the mountain path. He fell into the mountain stream and died on the spot. But according to their investigation, Qin Junwo did attend a class gathering that night and got drunk. After that, he rejected his classmates' suggestion to drive him home or find a designated driver and drove to the mountain alone. Although he could still return to his home by taking a detour from the mountain, if he chose this path, he would have to take at least half of the detour. In the middle of the night, he even drank wine and didn't want to go home. Instead, he went for a ride in the mountains. If this young master of the Qin family wasn't so stupid, there must be something that was overlooked. Combined with the mess in the Qin family, Hua Qinhuan couldn't help but think more. When Su Yiyan heard this, the wrinkles between his eyebrows deepened. He originally thought that the first wife of the Qin family was difficult enough to deal with. If this family was stewed in a pot of mess, wouldn't Ling Xiaoqi be eaten alive? After Hua Qinhuan finished speaking, he suddenly turned to look at Ling Xiaoqi and said with a cold expression, the Qin family does have some foundation. Now that you are Qin Fengda's only bloodline, he has nowhere to retreat. If he really wants to bring you home, he will definitely support you with all his might. Do you really not plan to acknowledge him? As long as you acknowledge him, you will be able to obtain the glory, splendor, wealth, and power that you would never be able to obtain in your entire life. Your destiny will change completely, and the things that you once dreamed of will be within your reach. Are you really not tempted at all? Chapter 693. Hearing Hu Qinhuan's words, the two of them were stunned again. Su Yiyan was the first to react and shouted disapprovingly, "Qinhuan." Hu Qinhuan held his hand tightly, but did not give in at all. His eyes were still fixed on Ling Xiaoqi, and no one could tell whether he was happy or angry. After a short moment of surprise, Ling Xiaoqi gradually calmed down. "Yes, you're right. As long as I acknowledge him, I can easily obtain everything that ordinary people can only dream of. Wealth, family background, status, everything that I could ever dream of. But so what? These things are really tempting, but they are also troublesome. The most important thing is that they don't belong to me." Ling Xiaoqi looked up at Su Yiyan and his wife as she spoke. She smiled slightly and said, "You just said that the Qin family is very messy. It is so messy that I, an honest person who is used to a dutiful life, can't imagine it. This is undoubtedly dangerous for me, not to mention that my mother's life is at stake." Ling Xiaoqi seemed to feel a little cold when she said this. She subconsciously reached out and hugged herself. If you guessed right, the young master of the Qin family didn't die in an accident. Then, who knows how many people's bones are buried under the tempting things you just said, and how many people's blood is stained. As long as I think about whether these things are also stained with my mother's blood, do you think I can accept his gifts and spend his money with a clear conscience? Hearing her words, Hu Qinhuan's face finally became better. He whispered, "It's good that you can think it through." Hu Qinhuan did not object to Su Yiyan helping Ling Xiaoqi, but before that, Ling Xiaoqi had to give them a clear attitude. He did not want his wife to care about others' safety during her pregnancy and try her best to seek a chance of survival for others. In the end, she was in a difficult position and was resented by others. Since you have made a decision, you should be mentally prepared. You can be said to be Qin Fengde's only life-saving straw now. He won't let you go easily. Moreover, you have to know that Qin Fengde came looking for you to bring you home and make you a tool for his new round of family struggles. We can't keep this a secret. It won't be long before Mrs. Qin and his nephews hear about it. At that time, even if you don't agree to go back with him, they won't let you off easily." Ling Xiaoqi's expression changed slightly, and Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat. Even Qin Fengde's brothers, who grew up together, could fight to the death, dying or being injured. Not to mention Ling Xiaoqi, who had led a wandering life since childhood and had no feelings for them, but was a stranger who could threaten their interests. If what Hu Qinhuan said was true, in the end, Ling Xiaoqi would be attacked from both sides and be in a dilemma. After Hu Qinhuan's reminder, Su Yiyan thought of another aspect. Maybe Qin Fengde knows this, so he swaggers over to find you. When Ling Xiaoqi heard her say this, her face became even uglier. No matter what, I won't acknowledge him, let alone go back to the Qin family with him. Su Yiyan turned to look at Hu Qinhuan questioningly. Hu Qinhuan understood. I'm afraid Qin Fengde will often look for you recently. It's not safe for a girl like you to be alone. I'll send someone to protect you secretly and won't affect your daily life and work. Ling Xiaoqi knew that Hu Qinhuan was helping her for Su Yiyan's sake. They were not friends, so she said gratefully, "Thank you." Chapter 694. Seeing that Hu Qinhuan was willing to send someone to protect her, Su Yiyan was relieved. Immediately, he seemed to think of something and frowned, "You should be alert. Qinhuan's people will try to stop them and not let them get close to you. But after a long time, they may bribe others to get close to you. And after knowing your character and knowing that you are amenable to persuasion but not coercion, they may use other means to shake you." Ling Xiaoqi blinked blankly, "For example? Honey trap. Ling Xiaoqi, Hu Chenhuan. After a suffocating silence, Ling Xiaoqi asked Su Yiyan angrily and amusedly, in your eyes, am I such a person who is easily confused by beauty? Aren't you? Su Yiyan stared at her and said straightforwardly, do you dare to say that you are not a beauty lover? Ling Xiaoqi choked. She really couldn't say no. Look, if Qin Fengde had bribed Hong Hui, he would have taken the initiative to approach you, sweet-talk you, be considerate, and even personally cook 3 meals for you every day, and pick you up on time to and from work. Hong Hui was one of the 2 pillars of Dongqing City before Luo Weibing entered the city. Ling Xiaoqi was a groupie, but she was the most unstable groupie. Basically, she could change her husband after watching a TV series or a variety show. According to her, she couldn't give up a whole forest for a grass. The whole entertainment circle was her forest. As long as she wanted, she could call him her husband everywhere, limited to her mouth. Hong Hui happened to be her husband recently, just because he had just released a new album, and Ling Xiaoqi liked it very much. After listening to Su Yiyan's description, Ling Xiaoqi's heart began to shake. Such a honey trap seemed to be acceptable. No. You still underestimate me if you want to bribe me like this. You know, most of the stars sell their characters. They can only be seen from a distance and can't be approached. Am I in love with him? No, I only love his persona. If he really walked down the altar and came to my side, I don't know how I would be disillusioned. How could it be corroded by his sugar-coated bullets? Then you, however, if I find all the husbands that I used to be a fan of, I might be a little tempted. Su Yiyan. You even brought all the husbands here, big and small. Do you think you're collecting stamps? I didn't expect you to be like this. Ling Xiaoqi met Su Yiyan's sad eyes and couldn't help but laugh. She got up and sat beside her, holding her other hand and saying, I know what you're worried about. I'm not stupid. Back then, he was able to stabilize his position through marriage. Now that he wants to recognize a girl like me, the best way is to marry into another big family. In order to obtain something that could move one's heart, one had to pay something else first, such as conscience, friendship, love, and marriage. Su Yiyan was stunned. She didn't expect Ling Xiaoqi to see through it so thoroughly. In her previous life, Qin Fengde had indeed done this. Not long after Ling Xiaoqi was brought home by him, he held a grand banquet and invited all the young talents who were about the same age as Ling Xiaoqi to his house. On the surface, it was to celebrate finding his long-lost daughter, but in reality, it was to find a suitable blind date for Ling Xiaoqi. And this act precisely poked at Mrs. Qin's sensitive heart after losing her son, making her hate Ling Xiaoqi to the core. She did a lot of evil things to kill her. Chapter 695. It could be said that although Mrs. Qin was the one who killed Ling Xiaoqi in her past life, Qin Fengde was the one who pushed her all the way to hell. Both husband and wife were equally detestable. Compared to Mrs. Qin, Qin Fengde was even more disgusting. Su Yiyan opened her mouth and was about to say something to comfort Ling Xiaoqi when a hand reached over and pried her hand away from Ling Xiaoqi's. Don't touch me. Su Yiyan, Ling Xiaoqi. A few seconds later, Su Yiyan rolled her eyes helplessly. You're even jealous of a girl. Hu Chenhuan stared at her seriously as if to say, men and women are the same. As long as it's a human, I'll be jealous. No, even if it wasn't a human, he would still be jealous. Su Yiyan was convinced by his shamelessness. Ling Xiaoqi couldn't help but roll her eyes. Can't you give a single dog a way out? Sob, sob, sob. As expected, once you have a new lover, you don't want the old one anymore. It's so hard on me. The reason why the old one can't compare to the new one is because the new one is too outstanding. You should reflect on yourself and work hard to become better. Who knows, maybe one day I'll change my mind and visit you again. Ling Xiaoqi's mouth twitched. What kind of scumbag quote is that? Why didn't I realize you were such a scumbag before? Su Yiyan chuckled. It's not too late for you to find out now. Ling Xiaoqi rolled her eyes and looked around. Where's your stupid dog? It's in the backyard with Yuan Yuan. Su Yiyan sharply sensed that something was wrong and probed, why are you looking for it? A few days ago, wasn't it still yelling at it, wanting to kill it so badly that it wanted to kill it? Don't tell me you want to. Ha, I want to. Ling Xiaoqi got angry at the mention of it. Unfortunately, it's responsible for my Huahua. Take responsibility. That little bastard of yours made our Huahua pregnant. Don't you think it should take responsibility? Su Yiyan. When Ling Xiaoqi said this, not only Su Yiyan, but even Hu Qinhuan, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but reveal a dazed expression. Huahua is pregnant. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds, then suddenly burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Good job, you've learned how to cook rice. You're more promising than your dog father. Hu dog daddy Qinhuan was speechless. He felt the need to let his wife know who was more promising. You. Ling Xiaoqi's face turned red. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. It's because of an owner like you that this dog was raised. I don't care. You and it have to give me an explanation today. What explanation? Ling Xiaoqi said expressionlessly. Her words were enough to make Dundan's balls turn cold. Sterilization. Pfft. Su Yiyan blinked. She couldn't bear to see it. That's too cruel. It's fine if you don't want to do it. When Huahua gives birth, you'll have nothing to do with it, whether you give it to her or raise it yourself. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed. She said without thinking, do it, right now. You can do whatever you want. I have no objections. Although she had expected this, Ling Xiaoqi was still stunned by Su Yiyan's heartlessness. She really was his biological mother. Hu Qinhuan, who had witnessed her son being sold off, was speechless. Although she was happy to see this, she didn't know why she felt a chill down her spine. When the child was born, would he end up like this? It was terrifying to think about it. Chapter 696. Poor Dun Dun still didn't know that it had finally gotten its wish to impregnate its wife, but it was already sold by its master. It was inconvenient for Su Yiyan to be pregnant. Of course, Dun Dun's sterilization was taken by Hu Qinhuan. Before leaving, Su Yiyan also gave some encouragement and comfort in advance to Dun Dun, who didn't know what he was about to experience. Be good, for your wife and your future baby, you have to pay a price. If you are a man, a male dog, you have to take the responsibility of protecting your family. This is your responsibility and your obligation. It's just a small operation. Just bear with it. Su Yiyan rubbed her dog's chubby body and couldn't bear it. As long as you bear with it this time, Xiaoqi won't stop you from meeting Huahua in the future. Bear with it for a while and you will be calm. Take a step back and you will see the world. Doing this is not completely without benefits, right? Dun Dun was dumbfounded. What price? What small operation? What bear with it? What exactly happened? But the little guy understood the sentence, won't stop you from meeting Huahua in the future, and barked a few times happily. Hu Qinhuan, who knew what this silly dog was about to face, glanced at her dog's son sympathetically. He was so stupid. Fortunately, he was a dog. Otherwise, he might have to help others count the money after being sold. Su Yiyan reluctantly watched Hu Qinhuan take Dun Dun away. At the same time, Xia Junsheng also sent the confirmed cast list of Red Beauty to Su Yiyan. The male and female leads were famous actors in the industry, especially the female lead, Jiang Rui, who could be said to be the national goddess. These two people couldn't be invited by the current Dongqing city alone. They were most likely Luo Baogeng's connections. Moreover, Luo Baogeng had already said in advance that the female lead had to learn the basic skills from his wife for half a year during the shooting process. How could those actors, who were scheduled for 1 or 2 years later and wished to split a day into 2 days, forget about this matter when they were filming? With Jiang Rui's current status, what she lacked was no longer resources, but a good script and a good team to maintain her divinity and popularity. Only then did she have the time and confidence to slowly grind with the production team. Seeing the names of the male and female lead, Su Yiyen couldn't help laughing. Sure enough, I was right to spend so much effort to find Luo Baogang. Not only did I get a powerful consultant, I even got so many big shots now. This is no longer a buy one get one free situation, but a buy one get one free situation. Su Yayan was the boss of East City and a businesswoman. Red Beauty was an important part of Dongqing City's IP plan. If this part could be successful, the subsequent investment funds could be recovered on a large scale. With a little push, it could create a virtuous cycle. At that time, they would have the final say on how to create stars and how to create opportunities for their subordinates. Now that Luo Baogang had attracted so many veteran actors for her, the director's team was in place, and the popularity of the topic was already on the way. All in all, the timing, location, and people were in the right place. All that was left was a little bit of luck. In addition to the male and female lead, most of the important supporting roles were low-key and down-to-earth but well-known actors. Basically, there were no empty vases. Many artists in Su Yiyen's company were confirmed to be in the cast after the audition, but most of them didn't play important roles with a lot of scenes. Chapter 697. No one was dissatisfied with this. This show was led by Luo Baogang, and there were so many big shots in the production team. Whether they could afford to offend them or not was one thing. Working with so many big shots and seniors, even if it was just a small supporting role, they could boast about it to their friends for 10 years. Moreover, since they had already decided to be actors, practicing their acting skills was the basic skill of an actor. It was easy to enter a small production team and become the main lead or an important supporting role, but it was rare to see a veteran actor perform up close. This was much better than hundreds of theory classes taught by their acting teachers. Su Yiyen scrolled down and saw a surprisingly familiar name on the list of actors. Yu Yushi. Su Yiyen thought that after the injury on the show, this person had already terminated her contract with the company and returned to be the second daughter of the Yu family. She did not expect, Yu Yushi didn't terminate her contract with our company? Xia Junsheng was not surprised that Su Yiyen would ask about this. He answered truthfully, no, she came back after her injury was healed. She never mentioned terminating the contract. How long does her contract last? She signed a 3-year contract. There's still about a year left. Su Yiyen pondered. She wants to be an actress. Yes, I've talked to her manager. Compared to being an idol, a singer, she seems to be more interested in acting. It was normal for the company's artists to change careers, but logically speaking, it shouldn't be so early. After all, the initial investment to nurture an artist was not small. If they changed their direction rashly, not only would it be a waste of time, but the initial investment would also be wasted. Therefore, Xia Junsheng did not agree with it when he heard about it. However, Gu Yan did not say anything because Yu Yushi was the second daughter of the Yu family. He let her be. Oh right. Xia Junsheng suddenly thought of something else and mentioned, this time, we've temporarily selected 2 songs for the soundtrack in Dancing Red. They'll be sung by Hong Hui and Yun Luoshan for the time being. Yun Luoshan. Su Yiyen felt that this name was familiar. After thinking about it carefully, she finally remembered that this was the pitiful girl who was almost removed from the show by Wen Jingping. Later, because of Yu Yushi, she was able to return to the show. This pitiful little girl was young and shy, but she had some backbone. After Yu Yushi withdrew from the show due to her injury, she rushed into the final group of people with all her might. Furthermore, it was said that she had caused a lot of trouble for Wen Jingping during the recording of the later episodes. Su Yiyen's impression of her was still that of a certain someone who was trembling like a little white rabbit when they first met. Later, when he heard about her heroic deeds in the program, he couldn't help but sigh. When a rabbit is anxious, it will bite. Now that Xia Junsheng mentioned this person, Su Yiyan naturally recalled how Yu Yushir had stood up for her. Now, the two of them were in the same production team. One of them was an actress, while the other was in charge of singing the songs. She didn't believe that it was a coincidence. Yun Luoshan and Hong Hui, this gap is a bit big. Logically speaking, with Yun Luoshan's current status, she shouldn't be able to sing this song with Hong Hui. But the key is that this song was written by her. She wrote it herself? Yes, she wrote the lyrics and music. Of course, the company's vocal music teacher also helped to modify it, but she still wrote it herself. Only then did Su Yiyan remember that when Yun Luoshan participated in the show, her ranking was lower because her singing and dancing were weaker than the others, but she was very talented in songwriting. Chapter 698. Su Yiyan nodded. She had no objections to this arrangement. She changed the topic back to Yu Yushir. Did Yu Yushir learn anything related to this before? She studied with the company's teacher for 2 months before auditioning for Red Brave. She's quite hardworking. She has great potential to be able to learn so much in 2 months. Su Yiyan flipped through the list and confirmed that Yu Yushir was auditioning for the role of the 5th female lead. Although it was just a supporting role, it won in terms of character design. If she could really act it well, she might be able to make people's eyes light up. Most importantly, it was not easy for a greenhorn like her to be able to squeeze into this group of big shots. Get someone to pay attention to her. Wait until Red Brave finishes filming. If she really has the potential in this area, we can focus on training her. Although Dongqing City was developing well, Shui Kaiwei was the only female artist who could really hold up the scene. The rest were either capable but lacking opportunities, or lucky but not capable enough. It was not a bad thing to train more newcomers and provide fresh blood to the company. It's just that this 3-year contract is too short. Think about it and renew the contract with her as soon as possible after this drama is finished. Okay. After dealing with some company matters remotely, Hu Qinhuan returned with Dun Dun. Dun Dun, who had just completed a major life event in a daze, came back with dull eyes and tongue hanging out. The dog was carried in Hu Qinhuan's arms as if it had lost the whole world. You're back. How was it? Did everything go well? Did it cause a ruckus? Hu Qinhuan lied through his teeth without batting an eyelid. I'm fine. Actually, it did cause a ruckus, and it caused a huge ruckus. Before the little guy went to the operating table, it seemed to have finally realized that it had entered a wolf's den. It ran and jumped up and down, causing needles and dog hair to fly everywhere in the pet hospital. It was not easy to catch it and press it on the operating table for the surgery. The dog's barking was so earth-shattering that it scared the other pets in the hospital and almost caused a large-scale pet riot. Of course, Hu Qinhuan would never tell Su Yiyan about this. This silly dog is very silly, but it was very cooperative the entire time. Dun Dun whined weakly, as if it was complaining that its father was lying. Dun Dun did not cooperate at all. It did not want to do this crazy surgery at all. It was forced to do it. Dun Dun couldn't help but feel sorrowful when he thought of what he had experienced in the hospital. 2 tears rolled down his cheeks miserably. Su Yiyan felt bad seeing it like this. He reached out to stroke its fur and said, "There's nothing we can do about it. Sooner or later, we'll have to go through this. Fortunately, Hua Hua already has a little baby. In a few days, I'll get Xiaoqi to bring her over and let you guys meet." Su Yiyan's original intention was to use Hua Hua to comfort Dun Dun, but she didn't expect Dun Dun to be even more disappointed after hearing her words. How could it meet its wife like this? How shameful. The sad little guy lowered his head and drilled into his nest. He raised his hand to cover his head and completely closed himself off. Hu Qinhuan saw that Su Yiyan was worried and comforted her. "I asked the doctor. It's normal to be like this for a week or 2 after sterilization. Just take care of it. After 2 weeks, it will be full of energy again. Alas, I hope so. In order to divert Su Yiyan's attention, Hu Qinhuan's eyes flashed slightly. She took the initiative to say, I just heard an interesting thing on the way. Chapter 699. Su Yiyan looked up at him. What's so interesting? It's related to Hu Xiaofeng. Hu Xiaofeng? Su Yiyan suddenly became interested. What did he do this time? Hu Qihan brazenly brought home his mistress. Mrs. Hu was so angry that she fought with him. In the chaos, Hu Xiaofeng pushed the mistress. Su Yiyan was stunned and asked tentatively, the child is gone. Yes. Hu Xiaofeng had experienced both career and love. Although he had grown up, his character was not so easy to change. Hu Xiaofeng was not a kind person. No matter how much he told himself to endure, he could not really do it when it came to it. In addition, he did not have a good impression of Xue Xiaofeng and the child in her belly that was about to threaten him. Naturally, he did not hold back. It was hard to say whether he did it on purpose or not. Her child is already 5 months old, right? Yes. Hu Qinhuan saw Su Yiyan's strange expression and regretted telling her this. Su Yiyan quickly adjusted. She was pregnant now, so she felt a little uncomfortable when she heard this. But she also understood that even if the child was born, his identity would not be too glorious. It was very likely that he would become a tool for his mother to fight for power. She just pitied the child. He could not choose the family he was born into, and he could not even decide whether he could be born safely. Hu Qihan must be mad. Yes. What Hu Qinhuan did not say was that the 5-month-old child had already taken shape. It was a boy. Hu Qihan had cheated on his wife to give birth to another heir. Now, he finally saw some hope, but it was destroyed again. Hu Qihan had always wanted to divorce his wife and help the mistress to take over the family. He wanted to give the child a legitimate identity. Now that the child is gone, he wants a divorce even more. In this way, he could find a young woman to give birth to his child in the future. He did not have to worry about the recurrence of the past. Mrs. Hu doesn't agree to the divorce. Family Hu and her son may be stupid, but they are also selfish. They know very well what kind of difficult situation they will face if they divorce. Hu Qinhuan sneered as if she had already expected this. If Hu Xiaofeng was still in the Hu Corporation, then so be it. Unfortunately, he's already been chased out, and in such an embarrassing way. At this time, if Mrs. Hu agreed to divorce Hu Qihan, there would be no place for the two of them in the family Hua. Hu Xiaofeng was not an easy person to get along with. He had offended many people in secret. Previously, he was still the heir of the family Hua. No matter how dissatisfied those people were, they did not dare to offend him. However, if he was chased out of the house and lost his backing, he didn't know how many people would kick him when he was down. Mrs. Hu didn't agree, but Hu Qihan was determined to get a divorce this time. He even threatened them. Threaten what? He threatened that if they didn't agree to the divorce, he would sue Hu Xiaofeng. Sue Hu Xiaofeng? Su Yiyan was shocked. People said that even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. However, this sentence obviously did not apply to their family. No matter what, the mistress miscarried because Hu Xiaofeng pushed her. If it's not too serious, it's an accident. If it's serious, it's intentional injury. He wants Hu Xiaofeng to go to jail. He's just scaring them. If this matter gets out, Hu Qihan will be the one to lose face. Chapter 700. Su Yiyan chuckled. He's already married his mistress. Is he still afraid of being embarrassed? Hu Qinhuan choked and shook her head helplessly. After all, he's only making trouble in his own home. If she really sues Hu Xiaofeng, it'll be a public scene. It'll be a hot topic and everyone will know about it. He cares about his reputation and won't do that. Su Yiyen curled her lips. People always like to deceive themselves. She knew that what she did was shameless, but she still thought that as long as she hid it well, no one would know or say anything. Hua Chenhuan was amused by her pretending to be mature and reached out to pinch her little nose. Su Yiyen grabbed his hand and said with a smile, "So they're really going to get a divorce this time?" "Not necessarily." Su Yiyen blinked and looked puzzled. She had long seen that Mrs. Hua was a person who bowed to the powerful and stepped on the weak. She bullied the weak and feared the strong. Hua Xiaofeng must have brainwashed her a lot behind her back to be able to persist until now. Now that Hua Xiaofeng was in trouble, could Mrs. Hua really continue to persist? As I said just now, Hua Xiaofeng's case can be considered as intentional injury if it's serious, but it can also be considered as an accident if it's not serious. At that time, they were fighting, so it's normal for them to push each other. Su Yiyen immediately understood what Hua Chenhuan meant. An unborn fetus was different from a born baby. If a born baby was killed, it was intentional murder. If an unborn fetus was caused to miscarry, it was considered intentional injury at most. It was the same crime as hitting someone and causing serious injury. Moreover, at that time, everyone was noisy and the scene was chaotic. No one could tell whether he did it on purpose or accidentally. If Hua Qihan really wanted to pursue Hua Xiaofeng's responsibility, Hua Xiaofeng could also hire a lawyer to help them defend unintentional injury. From a legal point of view, Xue Xiao was a pregnant woman, so she belonged to the disadvantaged group. However, from a moral point of view, Mrs. Hua and Hua Xiaofeng were the first wife and the first wife's son who were bullied by a mistress. They also belonged to the disadvantaged group. As long as the lawyer was capable enough, Hua Xiaofeng and his mother might not really get into trouble. That may be the case, but would Hua Xiaofeng and Mrs. Hua be able to think of this? The mother and son pair were obviously spoiled and did not seem to have enough brains. If they can't think of it, we can find someone to remind them. Su Yiyen looked surprised. You want to help them? To be precise, it's to annoy Hua Qihan. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. There is no such thing as eternal benefits, and no such thing as eternal friends. For some people, even Hua Chenhuan felt that it would dirty their hands to deal with them. The best way was to let them fight each other. Don't you think it's a rare pastime to watch them fight back in their nest? Su Yiyen. Evil, too evil. But why did it feel so good? You're right. It should be like this. Su Yiyen rolled her eyes and said with a smile, "How's the mistress? The child is already so big. The abortion should be very harmful to her health, right? It's definitely harmful to her health. But she was lucky to be sent to the hospital in time. Her life is not in danger. It's not impossible to have another child in the future." Even so, he had lost a healthy son who could have been his biggest bargaining chip to ascend to the top. Even if there were no more serious sequelae, she was afraid that it would not be so easy to swallow. Xue Xiao was really mad at this time. A serious opportunity to be promoted was in front of her, but it was ruined by that little bastard. Chapter 701. Xue Xiaoyu wanted to stab Hua Xiaofeng to death with a knife, but she also knew that if she acted too unreasonable at this time, she would lose Hua Qihan's favor. The reason why Xue Xiaoyu was able to quickly rise to the top and capture Hua Qihan's heart in a few months and let him take her home regardless of the consequences. In addition to Hua Xiaofeng and his mother, she knew very well that her position was also an important reason. Hua Qihan liked her for sure, but this man's love for her was largely based on the child. Now that the child was gone, Hua Qihan vented his anger on Hua Xiaofeng and his mother. But if she also acted unreasonable at this time and insisted on Hua Qihan giving her an explanation, it would make Hua Qihan transfer his anger to her. There were many people who could bear children for him. Now that Xue Xiaoyu had no child to rely on, she could not lose his favor. As for the revenge for the child, Xue Xiaoyu's eyes flashed with cold light, and her pale face could not help showing some hatred. At this moment, the door of the ward was opened with a click. Xue Xiaoyu was stunned for a moment and quickly changed her facial expression. She lowered her head slightly and looked sad. Hua Qihan entered the ward and saw such a scene. The woman lying on the bed looked haggard and pale, and her eyebrows were full of melancholy, which could easily arouse a man's desire to protect her. Xiao Ruo, Xue Xiaoyu seemed to wake up from a dream. She forced a smile and said, "Brother Hua, you are here. How do you feel?" "I'm fine." Xue Xiaoyu choked with sobs and said first in a low voice, "It's my fault. I didn't protect our child well." This sentence of taking a step back in order to advance successfully poked Hua Qihan's heart, making him feel more pity for Xue Xiaoyu, and his hatred for Hua Xiaofeng and his mother increased. Hua Qihan stepped forward and hugged Xue Xiaoyu, comforting her in a low voice, "It's not your fault. I shouldn't have taken you back in such a hurry. I should have waited until the divorce was over and chased those 2B*Gs out before bringing you and your mother back. I wasn't considerate enough." Xue Xiao leaned in Hua Qihan's arms and grabbed his clothes. She defended him softly, "No, Brother Hua, don't say that. I know you want to give me and the child a good living environment so that the child can grow up better. Now that the child is gone, it's not what you wanted. Brother Hua, don't blame yourself too much. You just didn't expect young master to do such a thing." Hua Qihan was very touched after hearing this. She was the one who had been hurt, but she comforted him instead. She was always so gentle, considerate. She was completely different from his stupid wife. Hua Qihan had completely forgotten that the biggest reason why he brought Xue Xiaolin home was that his divorce with Mrs. Hua had not gone well in the past few months. He was so angry that he thought of bringing her home to discuss the mother and son at home. "You don't want a divorce, do you? Okay, from now on, the mistress of the house will be changed. The legal wife and the mistress will live under the same roof. You can keep my body, but you can't keep my heart. Let's see who can outlast the other." However, Hua Qihan had never expected that Hua Xiaofeng would so blatantly hurt Xue Xiaoyu and cause her to lose her child. Hua Qihan was so furious. On the one hand, his son, whom he had been looking forward to for months, was gone. On the other hand, he felt that Hua Xiaofeng had grown up and did not take him seriously. At this moment, Hua Qihan's disgust for Hua Xiaofeng almost reached its peak. Chapter 702. What kind of young master is he? Hua Qihan snorted coldly and cursed, "I don't have such a violent son. Don't be angry. After all, he's still a child. What can he know? No matter what, he's still his younger brother, his biological younger brother." Xue Xiao couldn't help crying in a low voice. She looked pitiful, as if saying, "I've suffered a lot, but I have to compromise in order to protect your father-son relationship." She also threw the blame to Mrs. Hua. Hua Xiaofeng was still a child. If he didn't understand these things, who would? Of course, it was his biological mother, Mrs. Hua. Even though Hua Qihan knew very well that Hua Xiaofeng was no longer a child and it was very likely that he would do such a thing with his character, he still followed Xue Xiaofeng's train of thought and convicted Mrs. Hua. Even if it wasn't Mrs. Hua who instigated him to do this, Hua Xiaofeng was still her child. She raised him and taught him. She had something to do with him doing such a thing. Hua Qihan was already angry with Mrs. Hua for raising Hua Xiaofeng. Now, he didn't have any feelings for this woman. You don't have to say good things for him. They are vicious. It's an indisputable fact that they caused you to miscarry. Don't worry. I'll definitely give you and our child an explanation. Xue Xiao's eyes flashed slightly. She leaned in Hua Qihan's arms and whispered, "Okay." Hua Qihan's family was busy fighting among themselves. Su Yiyan entered the life of raising pigs in advance. This was her first pregnancy. She was fine. Although she was cautious, she had taken care of Qin Shueru. She probably knew the physical changes of pregnant women at various stages, so she wasn't too nervous. Hua Qinhuan, her family, and Uncle Zhang were a little too nervous. Under the strong request of several people, their original work and teaching continued to be online classes and remote management. They continued to work and teach at home. For this reason, Su Yiyan could only sleep, eat, and take a stroll under Hua Qinhuan's watchful eyes every day. After taking a stroll, she would go to class or spend an hour to draft a menu for the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Occasionally, she would listen to Hua Qinhuan's analysis of Hua Qihan's family's scuffle, and take the child in her belly to learn his father's thick black theory. There were probably only a few such unconventional prenatal education. What a sin, what a sin. Finally, after waiting for Hua Qinhuan to leave, Su Yiyan found an opportunity to enter the kitchen and turn on her long-awaited live broadcast. Long time no see, everyone. Because of the baby, my husband hasn't allowed me to enter the kitchen recently. He's afraid that I'll be too tired, so I haven't been live streaming for a while. Today, he went out, so I had the chance to secretly broadcast. Everyone, remember to help me keep this a secret. Don't let him find out. Shoo, Hua Qinhuan heard a familiar notification sound. She opened the live broadcast software and heard this sentence. Xiao Gu, the driver in the front row, also heard it. He coughed lightly and said thoughtfully, "Young master, in fact, proper exercise is also good for the physical and mental health of the pregnant woman and the fetus." Didn't Hua Qinhuan know about this? Of course, he knew. He just couldn't help but think too much. There's fire, electricity, and water. Moreover, the knife was so sharp, the pot was so heavy, and the seafood had pliers. In his opinion, there were unknown dangers everywhere in this small 1-meter square kitchen. Gu Xiaoyang was speechless. Wasn't it normal to have these things? At this moment, Gu Xiaoyang felt that his young master was a neurotic mother. Chapter 703. Although Gu Xiaoyang complained, he did not have the guts to say it in front of Hua Qinhuan. Before the audience in the live stream could complain about Su Yiyan not live streaming for such a long time, they heard her explanation. The screen went blank for a few seconds before it exploded. What the F***ck? What did I miss? The streamer already has a small streamer. The streamer's recent live streams are a little too sweet. First, she celebrated her husband's birthday, and now she directly announced that she is pregnant. 666, the streamer even has a small streamer, but we don't even know what the streamer looks like. I cry, tisk, I don't just want to see what the streamer looks like. I also want to see what the small streamer looks like. Then I can imagine what the small streamer will look like in the future. Previous poster, please have some self-respect. The small streamer is still an embryo. Her small hands and legs haven't even grown yet, and you're already thinking about her. You're a beast. Although they said that, the audience was actually used to Su Yiyan not showing her face. The most important thing was that most people believed a previous post and thought that their streamer was a descendant of a hidden family. If she really showed her face, she might get into trouble. She might really not live stream in the future. When that time came, wouldn't they be the ones to suffer losses? Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of discussions about her baby. She knew that everyone was curious and kind about her baby, and the corners of her lips unconsciously rose a little. Ahem, okay, let's not talk nonsense. We'll start today's live stream immediately and try to finish it before my husband comes back. As soon as she said that, the screen was immediately covered with densely packed lemon comments. The first dish we're going to cook today is a famous dish called Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. In ancient Earth, someone once used a poem to describe the aroma of this dish. When the jar is opened, the aroma of meat wafts around the neighborhood. When the Buddha hears it, he abandons Zen and jumps over the wall. This is where the name Buddha Jumps Over the Wall came from. The audience was stunned for a moment. They did not quite understand the meaning of the poem. On the contrary, the ancient culture researchers who were accidentally attracted by Su Yiyan's fish-flavored shredded pork were all excited. They secretly asked questions while taking notes. The meaning of this poem is that when the jar is opened, the aroma wafts too far. When the Buddha smells it, he abandons Zen and jumps over the wall. That's pretty much it. Su Yiyen was originally worried that some people wouldn't understand. Just as he was about to explain, he saw this message. He smiled faintly and said, "In ancient Earth, Buddhists advocated abstaining from meat and praying to Buddha. Abstaining from meat refers to eating vegetarian food. A large portion of the ingredients in Buddha Jumps Over the Wall soup belong to the meat category. The general meaning of this poem is that the aroma of this dish can make people who are vegetarian break their precepts for it. With such a description, the gluttonous worms in many people's stomachs seem to have been drawn out all at once. They couldn't wait to smell what this delicacy that could make people break their rules tasted like. Streamer, will this dish be part of the lucky draw today? Lucky draw, I want to eat it. The black-faced party says that they don't want to draw the lottery. Let's bid. I'm willing to spend a year's salary to try this Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. Flies are rubbing their hands together. Maidens are willing to use their lifetime's luck in exchange for this lucky draw in the streamer's live streaming room. It's too painful to be able to smell it but not eat it. Host, will this Buddha Jumps Over the Wall soup be sold in medicinal cuisine restaurants? Is it also the host who sets the menu? Or could it be ordered freely like the braised food? Please give me a chance to spend money. Chapter 704. She had not even started cooking yet, but the viewers in the live stream room were already preparing for the lucky draw and the release of the dish in the store. Although Su Yiyen's live stream frequency was not high, and she was not as diligent as other streamers, the quality of each live stream was very high, and she had never failed. Every time one felt that her description was too exaggerated, she would be slapped in the face. Over time, they had gotten used to it. They skipped the questioning and went straight to the point. Su Yiyen muttered, "Let's draw one then. I'm going to use this dish to bribe my husband so that he won't be angry about me sneaking into the kitchen. Whether we can pass this stage today depends on this dish. I'm so jealous. Every time I feel jealous, the streamer makes me even more jealous. Lemon fruit under the lemon tree, you and I under the lemon tree. The streamer's husband must have saved all of mankind in his previous life. He made the streamer give birth to his children and make Buddha Jumps Over the Wall for him. I'm crying, sob, streamer, control yourself. Otherwise, the single people in the live stream room will be stuffed with dog food. I suggest that from today onwards, the streamer can only show off her baby and not her husband. If you violate this rule, we'll ask the streamer to make one more dish for us or get one more lucky draw ticket." As it turned out, Su Yiyen's fans in the live stream room were quite weird. If it had been another female streamer's live stream room, they would have lost half of their viewers if they heard the streamer saying the word husband every day and showing off their love without hiding it. Although the viewers in Su Yiyen's live stream room were jealous, they were used to it. They left a few comments to complain, but they still watched and ate. It was so delicious. Hu Chenhuan, who was originally gloomy and itching to fly home immediately, finally looked better after hearing Su Yiyen's words. Even the inexplicable scary vibe around her was restrained. Gu Xiaoyang, who was trembling in the front row, was speechless. Should he say that his young master was too easy to coax? A jar of Buddha Jumps Over the Wall soup required dozens of ingredients, and most of these ingredients needed to be processed. This caused the preparation to be more complicated. As Su Yiyen processed the raw materials, he didn't forget to explain to everyone, before making Buddha Jumps Over the Wall, you need to soak the shark's fin first. The shark's fin needs to be soaked for 2 days and 1 night before it can be used. After that, you still need to simmer it for a period of time. Considering that the live broadcast time is limited, I'm using shark's fin that has already been processed. Su Yiyen took out a bowl of processed shark fin and added some lemon to remove the fishy smell. Shark fins from ancient Earth contained mercury and were not suitable for pregnant women. most of the mercury came from wastewater pollution. In this era, ecological protection was very important, so there was almost no mercury in shark fins. Relatively speaking, shark fins were more delicious and safe. The sea cucumbers and dried scallops also need to be soaked for a period of time in advance. The fish lips need to be boiled in a water pot. Add in scallion and ginger wine to remove the fishy smell and set aside. As for the abalones, they need to be steamed over a large fire in advance. Wu Chenhuan and the viewers watched as Su Yiyan took out various ingredients and spun around in the kitchen happily like a small spinning top. Su Yiyan was so busy that his feet didn't even touch the ground. They were dazzled by his actions. It took Su Yiyan more than an hour just to prepare the ingredients in the early stage. After much difficulty, he put the ingredients into the urn, sealed the lotus leaves, covered the small bowl, and placed it on the stove to simmer. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. The viewers in the live stream room also felt relieved. Chapter 705. The porcupine ginseng, pork tendons, fish lips, and fish belly have to be simmered for 2 hours before you put them in. You have to be quick when you put them in. Once you're done, you have to seal the jar immediately. Otherwise, the fragrance inside will leak out easily. After that, you have to simmer them for another 2 hours. Of course, if you have time, it's best to simmer them for a full 8 hours. That way, the taste will be even more delicious and rich. Su Yiyan looked at the time. If we start to simmer them now, we'll be able to eat them around night time. Let's leave the live broadcast until night time. We'll draw the lottery then, from 6 p.m. to 6:10 p.m. We won't wait if it's too late. The audience didn't have any objections. They weren't afraid of waiting for a good meal. It was only 7 to 8 hours. In order to eat this legendary Buddha jumps over the wall, they could wait for an entire day. Alright, Buddha jumps over the wall is done. Next, let's make some nourishing recipes that are suitable for pregnant women. Su Yiyan's clear voice pulled everyone's attention back from Buddha jumps over the wall. Those who have pregnant women in their homes should know that some pregnant women will have certain reactions during the early stages of pregnancy. Specifically, they won't be able to eat. Once they see oily things, they will feel nauseous. This period is called the early stages of pregnancy. After the early stages of pregnancy, the fetus will grow rapidly, and the pregnant woman's appetite will suddenly become vigorous. In order to provide nutrition for the fetus and nourish the pregnant woman's body, the pregnant woman needs to eat more nutritious foods that are rich in protein, vitamins, and other nutrients. The first dish Su Yiyan prepared was beef bone nourishing soup. When Su Yiyan made Buddha jumps over the wall, the beef bones had been boiled together with the soup. This time, he added onion and ginger slices to make it fragrant. Then, he added water and carrots to simmer together. Just like Buddha jumps over the wall, the beef bones needed to be simmered slowly for 3 hours before all the essence was boiled into the soup. Beef bones are the same as pork ribs. They are rich in calcium, which can nourish the kidney and nourish the marrow. It has a very good effect on the pregnant woman and the fetus, especially in the later stages of pregnancy. The fetus needs a lot of calcium to form its bones. At this time, the pregnant woman can drink more beef bone and pork ribs soup. After the beef bones were boiled, Su Yiyan quickly made the second dish, Mao Shu pork. In addition to the meat, there are wood ears, vegetables, bamboo shoots, eggs, and other ingredients in Mao Shu pork. It's worth noting that it has the function of promoting blood circulation. It's best not to eat it in the first 3 months. You can eat some in the middle stage to prevent anemia. Su Yiyan said as he quickly stir-fried the various ingredients in the wok. In just a few minutes, the dish was ready. After that, Su Yiyan also made almond braised pork knuckles, sweet and sour yellow croaker, and salad. Taking time into consideration, Su Yiyan made fewer dishes today. Even so, it still managed to tempt everyone to the point of drooling. stewed pork knuckles, fresh sweet and sour fish, and a refreshing salad of 3 shreds. Not to mention pregnant women, even ordinary people could eat a few more bowls of rice with this dish. Pregnant women had special constitutions. Su Yiyan was also worried that different people's constitutions would be different. Therefore, she used natural ingredients for most of the dishes she made today. Although it was a little expensive, most of them could be bought on the market. Other than the Buddha jumps over the wall soup, the ingredients and preparation of the dishes today are all relatively simple. For men with pregnant women at home, this was a good opportunity to perform. Pregnant women often felt unwell, and their emotions were more unstable. He learned a few things to reward his wife who had worked hard to get pregnant. You're good, she's good, everyone's good. It's also your contribution to the harmony of the family. Chapter 706. As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, many male viewers in the live broadcast room subconsciously looked at their hands. Thinking about it, it was quite beautiful. However, they were handicapped people who did not work hard and could not distinguish between food and vegetables. Could they really make a loving maternity meal for their wives? What if it failed and turned into a dark cuisine? If this wasn't handled properly, it might become the murder of one's wife and child. Many people were frightened by their own imagination. Hu Chenhuan, who was closely watching the live broadcast room, showed a serious expression. What's the shortest time an ordinary person takes to learn how to cook? Gu Xiaoyang was stunned for a while before he realized that Hu Chenhuan was asking him. Combined with what Su Yiyan had just said, Gu Xiaoyang's expression suddenly became subtle. Their young master was going to cook by himself? Oh my God, young master really loved young madam. But, young master, are you sure you're really going to cook and not blow up the kitchen? The manager and driver, Xiao Gu, who was deeply skeptical of his young master's ability in this aspect, twitched his mouth and said euphemistically, this. Not necessarily, it depends on talent. Some people can learn for a few days, and some may need a few days. But for someone like young master, it was unimaginable. Please give up this dangerous idea. Hu Chenhuan was silent for a long time after hearing Gu Xiaoyang's words. Just as Gu Xiaoyang was thinking hard about how to stop the tragedy that was about to happen, a phone call suddenly came in. Gu Xiaoyang quickly switched to the automatic call link. After listening to the report, his face suddenly became gloomy. Young master, someone is investigating young madam. Hu Chenhuan looked up, and his eyes suddenly became piercingly cold. Who? When Hu Chenhuan returned home, the nutritious beef bone soup had just been prepared. The bone marrow essence of the fully boiled beef bones had completely penetrated into the soup. The milky white bone soup was skimmed off the foam, and mixed with the fragrance of onion and carrot, it didn't smell greasy at all. It was a good choice to drink alone or eat with noodles. Su Yiyan walked out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup in her hand. When she saw Hu Chenhuan, she was frightened and a little guilty. You're back. Lunch is ready. Let's eat first. Hu Chenhuan saw her guilty conscience and asked knowingly, did you do it? I was wrong. Su Yiyan admitted it very straightforwardly. She lowered her head slightly and looked like she was waiting to be lectured, but it made people's hearts soften. However, Hu Chenhuan saw through her thoughts at a glance. She chuckled and said, will you do it again next time? Su Yiyan looked up in surprise, as if to say, how did you know? However, he still tried to save himself some dignity. You said it yourself, I didn't. Hu Chenhuan didn't know whether to be angry or amused. Then tell me, what did you do wrong? Shouldn't I have gone into the kitchen when you weren't here? After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she quickly added, it's just cooking, it's really easy for me. You read the test reports every day, and you know very well how my body is. I really won't tire myself out because of such a small thing. After listening to her, Hu Chenhuan sighed and lowered his head to give her a kiss as a punishment. You shouldn't have said anything to me. You shouldn't have thought that I would be angry and stop you. If you had told me nicely, would I have stopped you? Su Yayan blinked and said without thinking, don't you know how to do it? Hu Chenhuan. Well, he really would. Chapter 707. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to have a direct conflict with his wife and make her unhappy. He would only ask Uncle Zhang to keep an eye on her, be on standby, and report to her at any time. Then, he would think of ways to disturb her so that she couldn't really go in and get busy. However, since Su Yiyan said it so directly, he really couldn't do anything else. How long were you busy today? About 2 hours, Wang Yao said. Su Yiyan didn't forget to add, I took a break in between. It's a balance between work and rest, so I didn't get tired. Hu Chenhuan was stared at by his wife's pitiful eyes. No matter how angry he was, he couldn't help but say helplessly, don't do it again. Su Yiyan blinked and pulled Hu Chenhuan's sleeve. She asked softly, is there really no next time? I can shorten the time and only stream for an hour. Hu Chenhuan frowned. In the end, he couldn't make up his mind. Once a month. If it's inconvenient for you in the future, you can cancel it. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. She tried to bargain. Once a week. 2 weeks, deal. Hu Chenhuan. He felt like he had been tricked. However, when he saw that Su Yiyan seemed to have finally found something for herself to do, Hu Chenhuan could only helplessly swallow his words. Forget it. She should be fine at home. At the very least, he would keep an eye on her and not let her tire herself out. The cooking time of Buddha jumps over the wall was relatively long. Su Yiyan estimated that it was about time, so she turned on the live stream again. Because it was mentioned in advance that there would be a live stream at night, the number of people waiting in Su Yiyan's live stream was about the same as the one in the morning. In fact, there were even more people. Most of them were probably here to watch the fun. Countless viewers, including Hu Chenhuan, were eagerly waiting for the taste of this jar of delicious finished product. Su Yiyan first took down the overturned jar. Because it had been simmering for a long time, the lotus leaves sealed at the mouth of the jar were no longer as green as before. They had withered to a light brown color. The moment the lid was lifted, a strong aroma of wine mixed with all kinds of ingredients rushed out from the jar. It went straight into one's heart, causing one to be shocked. Sob, sob, sob. When the smell wafted out, my saliva was already drooling 3 meters away on the ground. My mother gave me a good scolding. She said that I didn't know how to clean up and only caused trouble for her. Useless. Ha ha ha, the person above is so realistic. I can imagine the fear of being controlled by my mother. F***ck, this taste is amazing. No wonder it's called Buddha jumps over the wall. I don't know if Buddha jumps over the wall after smelling this scent. Anyway, I really want to jump over the wall and poach the streamer. I want to poach her +1. When I think about how we'll have to fight for a spot with 8 figures in a while, the host's husband will be able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Ah, when I think about this, my heart feels like it's been soaked in decades of old vinegar. It's so sour that my heart is about to break apart. Everyone, let's team up and poach her. If we succeed, we'll split this jar of Buddha jumps over the wall equally. Even if we only get a drop, it'll be good. As long as we wield the hoe well, there's no corner that we can't poach. Let's go. Snatch the streamer over. Hu Chenhuan looked at the screen full of comments from the viewers who had completely lost control just by smelling the scent. They were all inviting teams to poach her. She narrowed her eyes dangerously, got up, and walked to the small kitchen. Baby, are you done? A familiar magnetic voice came from outside the screen. It also made the viewers in the live stream who were happily spamming the screen subconsciously stop what they were doing. Chapter 708. The host's husband. No matter how many times I hear it, I have to say it. This subwoofer, I'm dead. I'm sorry about this baby. My phantom limbs are hard. Previous poster, please have some self-respect. Do you believe that the moderator will ban you for openly showing pornography in the live stream room? Today, I still have other people's lemons on my head. Sob sob sob, this voice. I really can't control my voice. Why don't you guys poach the host while I poach the host's husband? He, there were quite a few people who had this idea. After all, there were all kinds of obsessions these days. Compared to other types of obsessions, voice obsessions were considered a very common type. We agreed to poach the host's husband together, but you guys secretly betrayed us. Are you worthy of our revolutionary friendship of watching the host's celestial love? Betray what? Isn't this the same as poaching the host's husband? You poach your husband, and I'll poach mine. We won't interfere with each other and can even help each other. Perfect. Previous poster is really clever. Mandarin is really a magical language. The same words can be broken down into different meanings. So, are we trying to poach the host's husband and wife and achieve a multi-sided sadomasochistic love? It's a little exciting just thinking about it. Pfft, after hearing what you guys said, I'm actually a little tempted, restless. JPG, okay, it's coming out soon. Su Yiyen responded and scooped out a portion of Buddha jumps over the wall as fast as she could for the lucky draw later. When she looked up, she saw that the screen was full of messages that wanted to poach her husband. She was stunned, then she said in annoyance and amusement, give up. My husband is made of diamond. You guys can't poach him. As soon as she said that, the group of people started to feel jealous again. Fortunately, they were not in the mood to think about how to poach Su Yiyen's husband. The Buddha jumps over the wall that had just been scooped out was very fragrant. When it entered the mouth, it was full of meaty flavor. It was fragrant but not greasy. It was soft and tender. Because there were a lot of ingredients mixed in, the various ingredients in the urn mixed with each other. There was flavor within flavor, but surprisingly, it did not feel mixed. Every time he took a bite, he could feel all kinds of different flavors exploding in his mouth, constantly stimulating his taste buds and making him addicted. For the sake of this small bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup, the audience, who were originally hooked by Hu Qinhuan's words, rebelled for the second time. They clamored and joined the army of poaching the streamer's fans. They decisively abandoned their new love and returned to the embrace of their old love. Many male compatriots gasped in amazement at this. Women are really fickle creatures. Seconded. There are many ingredients for the Buddha jumps over the wall soup, and it is rich in nutrients. Not only can it strengthen one's immune system, regulate one's meridians, moisturize one's intestines, and beautify one's complexion, it can also prevent and treat some cough, male diseases, and enhance one's hematopoietic function. Su Yiyen focused on the male emergency. Her face was slightly red. Unbeknownst to him, on the other end of the screen, when a person heard the words, enhance hematopoietic function, his hands suddenly stopped moving, and his eyes suddenly narrowed. Pregnant women can eat a little of this dish, but they can't eat too much because there are some cold ingredients in it. It's not good for the pregnant woman and the baby to eat it. Also, this dish is more nutritious. Eating too much of it will cause the baby to overgrow. Many people have the wrong idea that pregnant women can eat as much as they want. Even if they can't eat, they have to force themselves to eat more because it's more nutritious for two people. But in fact, if pregnant women don't eat in moderation, it will cause the baby to grow too big. Not only will it cause the pregnant woman to be overburdened during pregnancy, but it will also be relatively dangerous during delivery. Chapter 709. Therefore, under the premise of ensuring the nutrition of the pregnant woman and the fetus, I hope that all pregnant mothers will eat a balanced diet. Don't overeat just because you have a baby in your stomach. Perhaps because she was pregnant, Su Yiyen couldn't help but say a few more words when this topic was brought up. Okay, let's do the lucky draw next. The lucky draw was very fast. In the end, the lucky 1 in a million was a female account with the ID, Lucky Queen Sparkle. She lived up to her name. After Su Yiyen packed the prize and sent it out, she called Hu Chenhuan over to eat. Hu Chenhuan had already gone to the small kitchen after Su Yiyen turned off the live broadcast. She was worried that Su Yiyen would be tired after staying in the small kitchen for so long. But in fact, Su Yiyen had only been in there for less than 10 minutes. How could she not be tired? She was just curious about the main dish that her wife had specially made for her. It was rare for her to make such a time-consuming main dish. Su Yiyen used a relatively large jar to store a lot of ingredients. Su Yiyen was pregnant and couldn't eat too much. Such a large portion was definitely not enough for the two of them to finish. She immediately asked someone to send 3 portions to the Su family. Su Yiyen scooped a bowl of the remaining food for herself and Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang didn't expect that he would have a share. He was pleasantly surprised. He had been thinking about it since he smelled it outside. Although Su Yiyen usually cooked personally and would occasionally invite him to eat with her when she cooked too much, today's dish sounded like it was specially made for him. Even if Uncle Zhang was envious, he couldn't covet the love dinner of the young couple. He didn't expect that Su Yiyen would leave a portion for him. Su Yiyen couldn't help but laugh. These things are hard to digest. You can eat a bowl like me. This is also my first time cooking. Have a taste and see if it's delicious. After saying that, she turned to Hu Chenhuan and said, "The rest is all yours. You're responsible for eating it all." Naturally, Hu Chenhuan was more than happy to oblige. She immediately took everything inside. Young madam's culinary skills are amazing. Uncle Zhang took a sip of the soup and couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the first time I've eaten something so delicious." Su Yiyen chuckled. "I'm relieved to hear that. I was worried that I might be rusty because I haven't been in the kitchen for a while. Now that I've heard what you said, I'm confident again. After I give birth to the baby, no matter what, I can rely on this skill to earn some milk powder money for the baby." Hu Chenhuan paused and looked up at her. "I'm here. Do you still need to earn money for the baby's milk powder?" Uncle Zhang also laughed and said, "Yes, with young master here, how can young madam make money for little child?" "I just heard them say that this dish needs to be stewed for 7 to 8 hours. What if you're tired after spending an entire day just to eat this?" As soon as Uncle Zhang said this, Hu Chenhuan's eyes drifted over, as if to say, "See, I'm not the only one who thinks so." Su Yiyen. Well, she felt that she would be watched more closely at home in the future. The family in the family hall was enjoying dinner happily. On the other side, the Buddha jumps over the wall that Su Yiyen had given away in the lottery also fell into someone's hands. "Did you feed the pregnant woman those dishes in the morning?" Do Tianyi looked at the luxurious dishes on the table in the thermos box and asked in a low voice, "Did she have any reaction?" "Yes, she did." She didn't have any reaction. She said, "It tasted very good." Chapter 710. Do Tianyi nodded and reached for the bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup in front of him. Li Yu had specially bought this from a lucky 1 in 10 million audience members. At first, the other party was not very happy, but the reward Li Yu offered was too tempting. After weighing the pros and cons, the other party finally gave up the bowl. After the bowl arrived, Li Yu personally went to pick it up. It did not even go through the hands of the lucky audience member. After getting the bowl, Li Yu rushed back to the company as fast as he could and placed it on Do Tianyi's desk before it turned cold. "Boss." Seeing Do Tianyi move the box in front of him, Li Yu's pupils shrank and he looked nervous. Do Tianyi looked up at him and asked, "Do you want to eat it?" Li Yu really wanted to eat it. Who wouldn't want to eat something so fragrant? However, the reason why he called out to Do Tianyi so nervously was not only because he wanted to eat it, but also because he was worried that Do Tianyi would have a serious adverse reaction after eating it. "Boss, you almost went into shock after eating that cake last time." Do Tianyi's illness was not only that he would feel pain all over his body when he had an attack, but he also had to be very careful when eating things. Things that were fine for ordinary people would most likely turn into deadly poison for him. Take the exquisite little cake that they bought last time as an example. Ordinary people would only think that it was sweet and delicious and would want to eat it again after eating it. However, Do Tianyi was a death sentence. He had just finished eating the cake and was sent to the hospital because of an allergic reaction. In the end, it was just because there were eggs in the cake, and he was allergic to eggs. It was said that this Buddha jumps over the wall soup had more than 10 main ingredients and more than 20 supplementary ingredients. The ingredients were much more complicated than the previous cake. If one of the ingredients was an allergen, Do Tianyi would have to be sent to the hospital again if he ate a bite. "Why don't we get someone to test it first to confirm the ingredients inside?" And, before Li Yu could finish, Do Tianyi interrupted him with a faint smile. "Are you afraid that I'll die?" Li Yu pursed her lips, not daring to speak. "There are many people in this world who want me dead, but the heavens don't seem to care about my life. They don't intend to take it back so soon. Those who thought they could outlive him had all died before him. He, who had been sentenced to death long ago, was still struggling at death's door in this world. In the last few years he had lived like a mouse, pale, haggard, rotten, and frail. He wanted to live, but he had had enough of this kind of life. He needed some pain, some stimulation, to prove that he was still alive. Get someone to test the ingredients in these dishes. At the same time, record my body condition before and after eating." Li Yu knew that Do Tianyi's words meant that there was no room for negotiation. He could only nod and call the accompanying medical team downstairs in advance to make preparations. Then, he watched nervously as Do Tianyi picked up a piece of abalone and put it into his mouth. Since Dun Dun had been sterilized, Ling Xiaoqi's attitude towards it had finally changed. This was reflected in the fact that Ling Xiaoqi had brought Hua Hua to the house more often. She gradually let the two dogs be alone and no longer yelled at it. Dun Dun really didn't know whether to cry or laugh about this. It had sacrificed the rest of its life in exchange for a family reunion. It had really sacrificed too much for this family. Chapter 711. You're living a good life. Ling Xiaoqi looked at Su Yian's rosy face that had become rounder in a few months and was very envious. Su Yiyan rolled her eyes at her. "It's okay if you like it. I'm bored at home these days. You can move here to relieve my boredom. You can eat and drink with me every day. You can talk and laugh with me. You'll be paid as usual. In addition, I'll ask Chenhuan to send you a red packet to thank you for coming to accompany me." "So good." Ling Xiaoqi's eyes lit up slightly. She was a little moved. "Yes, it's so good. How about it? You'll move here today." Ling Xiaoqi pondered for a moment and shook her head solemnly. "Why? Is it more leisurely to relieve my boredom than you sitting in the office and doing things? You're leisurely at home because you're pregnant. I'm not pregnant. How can I go to your house to eat and drink? Besides, if you let me accompany you to eat and drink, when you give birth to the baby in your belly, I'll grow up to be a fatty of 180 pounds. I can't find a boyfriend when I'm thin. If I become a fatty, no one will want me. Tell me, is this your purpose?" Ling Xiaoqi said and made a gesture of Shishir holding her heart. "You're so vicious." Pfft. Su Yiyan was amused by Ling Xiaoqi's accusation. "You can't find a boyfriend? How many times have I said that I'll introduce you to my brother? Who's the one who keeps refusing? Now you say that no one wants you." "Ha!" Su Yiyan felt that it wasn't enough. She reached out and pulled Ling Xiaoqi's cheeks. Ling Xiaoqi struggled for a moment. She pulled Su Yiyen's hand down and rubbed her big face. How are you recently? Did that man look for you again? Ling Xiaoqi's movements paused, and then she sighed and said, yes. Then, I told him directly that I didn't want to acknowledge him, and I didn't want to go home with him. How did he react? How can he react? He didn't look too good. I could tell that he wanted to get angry, but he suppressed it in the end. He only asked me to consider it carefully. If it weren't for the information Su Yiyen had helped her investigate, she might not have been able to see through this person's true colors so quickly. But when all the motives were laid bare under the sun, Ling Xiaoqi found that some people really couldn't stand the scrutiny. No matter how good an actor was at acting, after watching for a long time, he would eventually give himself away. The only difference was whether the person watching was attentive enough and rational enough. I haven't seen him since then. It's not that he didn't come looking for me, but he was stopped by the bodyguards that Mr. Hu sent to protect me. Ling Xiaoqi lowered her eyes and said coldly. I didn't see him, and I don't want to see him. As soon as I saw him, I would remember how much my mother had suffered all these years. As for him, he's clearly the main culprit, yet he's living more carefree and more glamorous than anyone else. It's nauseating. That's enough. Don't be angry. Auntie Ling is watching from the heavens. I'm sure she wants you to have your own life and not be pestered by that man, used, and lost yourself. It's not worth it. Yeah. Why don't you move in with us? Su Yiyen was still worried about Ling Xiaoqi being alone. People with no bottom line were even scarier when they went crazy. Who knew what Qin Fangde would do if he was forced into a corner? Ling Xiaoqi froze when she heard Su Yiyen's words. Then, she pretended to be wise and waved her hand. No, no, no. Forget it. Living in your house. I don't want to go blind at such a young age. Chapter 712. Ling Xiaoqi had indeed thought about moving to avoid the limelight, but she had never considered the family Hua. Firstly, this was the Hua family after all, not the Su family. She was here to be a third wheel and disturb the couple's private life. If someone with ulterior motives spread the news, there might be rumors that would affect the couple's relationship. Second of all, she was also worried that if Qin Fangde found out that she was living in the family Hua, would he send someone to make trouble? Ling Xiaoqi was not afraid that he would make a move in the family Hua. After all, compared with the Qin family, the men in Su Yiyen's family were not easy to deal with. However, Su Yiyen was pregnant now, so the situation was special. Even if Qin Fangde did not dare to make a move in the family Hua, Ling Xiaoqi would never forgive herself if the noise scared her and caused an accident to her and the child. Hearing Ling Xiaoqi's teasing, Su Yiyen blushed and was about to lose her temper. But after thinking about it for a while, he more or less understood her concerns. He sighed and said, then you should be careful. I will tell Brother Junsheng to let you work less overtime and go home early. As Su Yiyen spoke, she seemed to think of something and frowned. Wait, the place where you live, does he know the location? Yes. Did he go to your place to look for you? Yes. Su Yiyen's expression changed slightly. No, it's too unsafe. If you really don't want to move to our place, I will find you a safer house. You can move there for a while and avoid the limelight for a while. Ling Xiaoqi was a little hesitant. Won't it be too troublesome? How can it be? You don't know that when I married Chinhuan, he transferred all the shares, properties, real estate, and all kinds of other things under his name to my name. There are about 7 or 8 suites in City A alone. They are either high-end residential areas or small private buildings with courtyards. These houses are basically empty now, but they are cleaned regularly and have everything inside. When Ling Xiaoqi heard Su Yiyen's words, she was instantly jealous. Don't say it. I will hate the rich if you continue. Pfft. Who was the one who righteously said that she would not return to the Qin family and that she did not want a penny from the Qin family? I thought that someone really regarded money as dirt. I did not expect you to hate the rich. How is it the same? How is it different? I'll say it again. What's mine is mine, and I won't take a single cent that's not mine. Actually, no matter what, you are still a member of his family. Moreover, your mother did let him down back then. It is reasonable for her to take some money from his family as compensation. Thinking of the situation when she and Ling Xiaoqi had just met, Su Yiyan's face could not help but turn cold. At that time, Ling Xiaoqi was underage and went out to do odd jobs to earn living expenses. The inspection of private shops was not very strict. They also turned a blind eye to part-time jobs like child labor. Because of Ling Xiaoqi's mother had completely cut off contact with her parents and relatives. Raising a child alone was not only tiring, but she also fell ill early. Not long after Ling Xiaoqi graduated, she fell ill and passed away not long after. In her opinion, Qin Fengde was the initiator of the tragedy of Ling Xiaoqi and her mother. Ling Xiaoqi was already very kind for not adding insult to injury. If it were her, not to mention going home with him, she might even stab him in the back and let the family bite each other. Chapter 713. Ling Xiaoqi's face darkened when she heard Su Yiyan's words. She snorted coldly and said, "Money is indeed tempting, but you also have to see how much dirty and shady business is hidden behind this large sum of money. Besides, if I really accept this hot potato, won't I have to take care of that man in the future? You can also ignore him and avenge your mother. He's heartless, but I can't not be righteous. If I really acknowledge him and take his money, can I really throw him away in the future? Even if I can really be ruthless and become as cold-blooded as him, those unrelated to me will still stand on the high ground and hold me hostage. Although I can ignore them, I feel annoyed just thinking about it." Ling Xiaoqi sighed and lamented, "This world always bullies honest people the most." Su Yiyan was startled when she heard this. Her eyes couldn't help but sting. The person in front of her didn't say it, but in reality, her heart was as clear as a mirror. She loathed Qin Fengde and the Qin family behind him. But even so, for her own sake in her previous life, she endured this disgust and returned to the Qin family, dying in the place she hated the most. Ling Xiaoqi let out a long sigh after she finished speaking. She curled her lips and said, "That's why I gave birth to a sperm. A scumbag who didn't even raise me for a day is not worthy of me taking care of him in his old age. Bah! I'm not going to make myself suffer." Su Yiyan was amused by her words, and the gloominess in her heart dissipated a lot. Yes. You're right. It's good enough that you're not cheating him to let you take care of him in his old age. Then she quickly changed the topic back to moving house. "When you go back, pack up your things and bring Hua Hua over. You don't have to bring too much. If it's too big, just throw it away. There are ready-made ones over there." Su Yiyan frowned and pondered for a moment. She was a bit distressed. "Oh, I can't remember where these houses are. I'll ask Chenhuan to send the information over in a while. But it's best if you pick one that's close to me. In this way, if something really happened, they could take care of each other." Ling Xiaoqi heard this and felt sour again. If she could, she also wanted to have so many houses that she couldn't remember where they were. So sour. I finally understand why so many girls always fantasize that they can join a rich family one day. This kind of days where they could count houses and play was really too enviable. However, it was not so easy to enter a wealthy family. Su Yiyan's family background was good and was not much different from a wealthy family's. If the difference was too great, and they had different values, they might not be able to last long, and they might not be able to dote on them like Hu Chenhuan doted on Su Yiyan. An ugly duckling becoming a swan. If you're envious, then let your Hua Hua quickly marry my Dun Dun. Don't be fooled by Dun Dun. It's a dog with its own private villa. It's okay if you can't be my sister-in-law. Hua Hua will definitely marry into a rich family. The corner of Ling Xiaoqi's mouth twitched. She thought to herself, no matter how luxurious a dog's house is, it's still a dog's house. Do you really think you can bribe Hua Hua and me? Naive. However, Ling Xiaoqi soon found out who was more naive. Ling Xiaoqi watched as Hua Hua moved into Dundon's villa under its warm invitation. She was like a proud queen leisurely inspecting the territory under her feet. She was so happy that she forgot about home. Ling Xiaoqi. Chapter 714. After sending Ling Xiaoqi away, Su Yiyan immediately asked her husband for the information and pictures of the properties and sent them to her. You want her to move? Yes, that man knows where she lives now. I'm worried that it's not safe for her to continue living there, so I asked her to move. Originally, I wanted her to move to our house, but he was worried that she would disturb our two-person world, so I could only ask her to move elsewhere. You seem to pay special attention to her. Su Yiyan suddenly paused and looked up at him in surprise. Are you jealous? I just feel that you seem to be particularly worried that she will return to the Qin family. Is there any special reason? Su Yiyan's heart trembled, and she couldn't help but sigh at Hua Qinhuan's keenness. I'm just worried that she will become a puppet in the hands of that man this time. She will have no choice but to become the target of public criticism. Just like what Xiaoqi said just now, he obviously didn't raise her for even a day. He only provided her with a sperm and tried to control her life, using her as a chess piece for his own interests. It's okay if it's useful, but if it's useless, he will throw her aside and let her fend for herself. This kind of person, to put it bluntly, was selfish. With such a scumbag father, even if Ling Xiaoqi didn't die in the hands of the first wife, she might not have a good end in the future. Hua Qinhuan intuitively felt that this matter was not so simple, but since Su Yiyan was unwilling to say, he didn't ask much. The Hua Group's shareholders meeting will be in a few days. Several old shareholders specially invited me to attend. Su Yiyan suddenly became interested. What do they want to do? Find out the truth. Or both. Hua Qinhuan narrowed his eyes and sneered. They have enjoyed watching Hua Qihan's affairs, and it's time to do something serious. During this period of time, Hua Qihan's family was really chaotic. It was almost a small drama every 3 days and a big drama every 5 days. It was reasonable to say that outsiders like them were not qualified to ask about the private lives of their immediate superiors and partners. However, the fire in Hua Qihan's backyard had not subsided even after such a long time. Instead, he was getting more and more anxious. Many people began to wonder if a decision-maker who couldn't even manage his own family could really manage their company well and bring long-term benefits to them. Then what are you going to do? Since he has invited me so sincerely, it won't take much effort to take a look. I can also annoy Hua Qihan. Su Yiyan frowned. She felt that Hua Qinhuan was not in the right mood when she mentioned Hua Qihan. Fortunately, the two of them did not dwell on this topic for too long and quickly returned to the topic of moving. Have you decided where to move to? Not yet, but I want her to move closer so that we can take care of each other if anything happens. Then let's do it here. It's convenient and close to us. I think so too, but it still depends on whether she likes it or not. By the way, find a few more people to help tomorrow. I'm worried that a long night will bring trouble. The sooner we move, the better. Okay. It turned out that Su Yiyan, who had witnessed the tragedy of Ling Xiaoqi's previous life, was very prescient. Qin Fengde had been suppressing his anger for the past few days. He had thought that little girls of this age were the easiest to deceive. Besides, Ling Xiaoqi had not had a father around since she was a child, so she should be most eager for a father's love. As long as he played the role of a loving father, it was only a matter of time before he brought her home. Who would have thought that imagination was beautiful, but reality was cruel? Chapter 715. Qin Fengde didn't take the indifference the first time and the stern rejection the second time to heart. In his opinion, these were just the struggles of a child who didn't know how to react when she suddenly saw her biological father. The next time they met, the child would definitely understand and go back with him. Then, there was no then. Qin Fengde was on the verge of exploding after being rejected at the door several times in a row. Where is she? What's going on? How can such a big person evaporate into thin air? Boss, the landlord of this house said that Miss moved out last night and settled the rent with her before she left. I think she won't come back. Qin Fengde raised his eyebrows and asked coldly, where did she move to? This. The bodyguards looked at each other and didn't know what to do. Seeing this, Qin Fengde became even angrier. What are you guys doing? Didn't I ask you to keep an eye on her? Now that she has moved out, you don't even know where she moved to. It's our negligence. Something happened last night and we were led away. When we came back, the light in Mrs. House was still on. We thought. Hearing this, Qin Fengde almost jumped up and kicked them a few times. What do you think? Thought she was still inside? She just used a little trick to fool you. I spent so much money to hire you, and this is how you repay me. Trash. The leader of the bodyguards lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything. This was indeed their mistake. If Qin Fengde really wanted to hold them responsible, all of them could only bear the consequences. Qin Fengde was angry for a while, but he calmed down and asked with a sullen face, I asked you to check which company that girl is working in. Did you find it? Yes. The bodyguard wiped the cold sweat on his head. Miss is now working in an entertainment company. Qin Fengde's face darkened. Entertainment company? Star. Miss is not a star. She's just an internal staff member. Qin Fengde's face became better after hearing this. He snorted and said, what future can she have working in a small entertainment company? Having been in a high position for many years, Qin Fengde, who thought he had some status, really didn't care about a small entertainment company. He even had some prejudice against small stars in the entertainment industry. In particular, Ling Xiaoqi was still a girl. If her nephews at home found out that she was a celebrity, they might make an issue out of it. Luckily, Ling Xiaoqi was just an internal staff member and not an artist. Even so, Qin Fengde still didn't think much of it. He felt that being a small employee in an entertainment company, how could it be as relaxed and happy as being the eldest daughter of the Qin family? The bodyguards were as quiet as chickens and did not speak. Qin Fengde did not expect them to agree. What time does Xiaoqi usually get off work? Young Miss seems to get off work at 6:00 sharp recently. 6:00. The few of you, come with me to her company at 6:00 and wait outside. I don't believe that we can't find her. Qin Fengde's expression was gloomy, and his eyes faintly emitted a chill. Just as Su Yiyan and the others knew, his purpose of coming to find Ling Xiaoqi was not simple. On the surface, it seemed that he came for his daughter, but in fact, he wanted to use her as a chess piece or even a shield to temporarily resist the fierce attacks of his nephews. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.